Happy Friday, everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. SpaceX IPO day. That's the big story today. And I know you guys are pumped. It does. Jen just sent me a picture of the thumbnail for the show today, and it does look phallic. Nice, Jen. I like that. Jen put a penis in our thumbnail.
Well, I mean, Elon's kind of a dick, so I guess it fits.
Did you have a good date last night or what?
No dates.
When's the next one? Tonight? Oh, it's Friday night.
It is Friday. I'm like, so I may see the Pope again, and this weekend, and then I've got other options, but
okay.
Yeah.
Good for you. I have no options. I'm gonna watch
You're
soccer
not
tonight.
supposed to. You're practically wifed up. I mean,
Practically, yeah. Some would say already married.
I know. Crazy how things work.
Crazy. You gonna watch the soccer game tonight? That's why I put on my USA shirt today. It's the only flag shirt I have.
I canceled like cable, or I don't turn my TV on in my house. So unless I know about something ahead of time, no, I'm not planning. To answer your question, no, I'm not planning on watching soccer.
I mean, I've got a login if you want to watch it.
I mean, I've got logins too. I just don't turn my TV on.
Maybe we watch it on. Should we watch it in Discord? You guys want to watch it? Discord. Go into Discord. And, do you guys want to watch? Yeah, we can do that. Doesn't have to. We don't have to do members only. Well, how many can we hold? I guess it'll be first come, first serve. We won't do members only. We'll do just.
I mean, I think if we have enough boosts, I think you can have like 100 people. But I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll work.
But no, Spawn doesn't. I mean, Spawn will watch movies, but she doesn't watch like regular TV stuff.
What time is that? What we were talking about Spawn today, and I was trying to figure out like what age they start dating, because like in Utah it was 16. Nobody dated till they were 16.
I mean, I think I've heard like her friends talk about they've got like little boyfriends and girlfriends, whatever that means. I mean, she'll be in 7th grade.
But do they do like? I always wondered, like, when people go on dates before they're 16, they just like, do their parents drive them? How's that work?
I don't think it's technically considered dating. I mean, I guess yeah, they say they're boyfriend and girlfriend, but that doesn't mean like they go out and go on dates. I think they're just like maybe they hold hands at school or something.
Chat, when did you guys start dating? Like, what age? Tell me what age you started dating. Yes, parents drive. I can't believe you guys aren't excited about the World Cup. That's crazy. It's oh shit, it's at noon. Oh, is that Eastern? Yeah, we're gonna end shit early today. I'm not joking that much about that. Is it really at noon? I thought it was at 6.
It's the World Cup?
The World Cup is in our country. Oh, okay, yeah, it is at 6. Okay, noon is on the 19th.
Okay. You want to hear something funny?
I do.
I had a boyfriend when I was, I think I was in 5th grade, and it's like we were together for like a day. And I remember like, and it meant like just you saw each other on recess or whatever it was. And I remember breaking up with him and telling him I thought we should see other people when I was in 5th grade. So.
I think I had a girlfriend in 1st grade. If she's out there, Sky Johnson. It's not her last name anymore. Looking back, you're a nice person, but you were kind of a dickhead in 1st grade. She'd switch between me and my 2 other friends, like every week.
Well, you should decide which one was better, I guess.
I didn't win that one, actually. I lost that battle. It wasn't fair. I had a friend that hit puberty in like 3rd grade. He dominated. I don't know what grade. It was probably, I think it was 5th grade. He hit puberty, and we were like, what in the world? He was like 6 feet tall.
I wonder if this person thinks about me breaking up with him with that. I wonder if he's on a stream somewhere saying "fuck you, Jen." He called me Jennifer. I went by Jennifer then.
You know what's crazy? Nobody has ever broken up with me ever. Well, that's not true. One time, my girlfriend's mom broke up with me for her. That wasn't great.
Your what?
My girlfriend's mom broke up with me. She wrote me a letter.
So then you have been broken up with.
I didn't even know. I got a letter in the mail one day. for her
Letter in the
mom.
mail?
Yeah.
They used a stamp on you? How old were
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. How old was I?
Uh-huh.
18 probably.
Were you on your mission?
No, you used to not be able to go on missions till you were 19, but
Yeah.
I had some dry humping incidents that kept my worthiness out of the scope of missionary work, so I didn't go till I was 20.
So you were dry humping in missionaries, so they said no?
This was a carpet girlfriend, actually. It was her mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
got it.
That story has lived on for that person has lived on in infamy. She I don't want to give that away. There was a very famous event. If you guys have watched for a while, you may know there was like a very famous MAGA adjacent person that abused multiple women, and she wound up being one of those women. And then a couple months ago, I was watching Yellowstone, and she was in an episode of Yellowstone. She just keeps popping up. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Yes, she pulled the rug out from under me. That's correct. Shut up.
Or
You're joined
That's
by a
funny.
girlfriend's mom. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Which
That's
is crazy.
cool.
We had cell phones at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, USA versus Paraguay tonight for the opening game for cup pool play for the United States men's national team, the Fighting Christian Pulisic's, and I'm very excited. It's one of the few things I still enjoy, sports wise, is the World Cup. To go Paraguay! Whoa, you're gonna root against the United States of America? How dare you?
In fairness, we're kind of shit on a lot of things. So
We got a good team. Well, that's not true. We got good players on the team.
oh, yeah, no, I don't follow soccer.
No,
So
you don't follow anything. Well, soccer.
no, I'm
When
a
you were
leader,
growing up,
Jay.
soccer.
I'm a leader.
I don't think we had soccer in the United States when you were growing up.
Yes, you're so dumb. So dumb.
That's not nice. It's
What?
it's not
You
nice at
dumb, or
all.
you calling me old?
What's that?
What? Calling you dumb, or you calling me old?
I wasn't calling you old. I was just talking about the history of the United States.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'm big into history.
right. Yeah. 2 years older than you. History. Got it.
All right. You got anything else to say?
Other than you suck? No.
It's
I mean,
not-
besides the regular announcements.
That wasn't super nice.
Shocking. Surprise to no one.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we can get going.
You're right, Gumps. I do need to respect my elders. I'm sorry, Jen.
Right. Anyways, so we'll get going so that Jay can go and get all excited and prepped to watch soccer.
I believe that we will win.
All right. Cool. All right. So we were a little late today. Jay needed some more time, so we're here now.
Whoa,
So
whoa.
Whoa.
I'm getting 100% of that blame?
That's what you said. You said you need 5 more minutes.
And what did you do?
I said I'll give you 10.
No. What did you say? You didn't say. You said I'm giving us 10. See
I'll
how
give
she
us
does
10.
See how she does this? You guys see how she does that? The
10
way that
because
she
I know-
manipulates?
No, because I'll give us 10 because I know you'll need the 10.
I was ready in 5. I appreciated the 10, but I was ready.
Sure.
But do you guys see how she does this? How I just take the blame for everything?
Right. No,
Yeah.
I just know you better, so I give us a little bit more time.
All right, that's probably true and probably
And
fair.
I've seen this. I've gone through this a couple of times. I just know better. So.
I'm very sorry. I apologize, Jen.
Got it. All right. So
Is Spawn awake yet?
I haven't heard her yet.
All right. Tell her I love her when she wakes up.
Okay.
All right. You want to do your thing?
All right. So let's get going on the show. We were a little later, but we're here now. So we've got our gift goal we need to hit each day.
Did you see that? Swish said lighting Jen's gas in this economy is wild. That's true.
I try not to read the comments while I'm doing announcements because I'll get distracted. So I try not to look at them when I'm doing announcements.
Sorry.
So yeah, like I said, gift goal. Need to hit that each day. This is our job. How we pay our bills. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats. I'll go towards knocking out that goal. We prefer the pay links because they take less from us than the Super Chats, but anything is appreciated. If you're not a paid member or subscriber,
then fuck you.
True. And so RGZ actually messaged me yesterday and asked why on Twitch, why there's no ads.
I don't know.
It's
but well, we don't get. I looked. I hadn't looked in a long time. We got. You know how much we've been paid for ads on Twitch in the last? I think they do 30 days. Do you know the answer to that?
I don't.
3 cents. Actually, it might be 0.3. It might be 0.3 cents. I don't think ads are running. Is anybody on Twitch see? Does anybody see ads?
I'll double check and look. But if people are subscribers on Twitch, they don't get ads, so that's possible.
Maybe just everybody over there on Twitch is a subscriber. I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of subscribers, but I'll double check and look and see. But anyways, yeah. So if you're a subscriber on Twitch, because when my subscription runs out, I'll see ads pop up. That's how it reminds me that I need to renew my subscription. Is ads. Do
you watch anything but this show on Twitch?
Yeah, no, I don't watch anything else.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not necessarily watching it. I'm just kind of monitoring.
Maybe I just cuss too much. That could be the problem. Maybe we're just not suitable for ads, so they can't run any.
But I'll look into it anyway. So yeah, like I said, if you're a paid member subscriber, that's dope. And you can join us for members only events. On YouTube, we have I think a handful of memberships. So any membership, you can join us for those members only events. And on Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub, and you don't have to use your own money. So if you guys disagree with our TP, you want to come up and have a conversation, you can do that by sending me a message on Discord. My Discord username is the same as the Venmo, so Jen with 2 N's, W with 2 B's, the number 1. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. So I told Swan that she needed to load and run the dishwasher.
Oh, nice. Good for you.
And she said the dishwasher can't run. It's got no legs. So I'm glad
Did that really happen?
No, that's a joke.
Damn. Well, that's funny though. I like that.
No, she won't load the dishwasher. She'll unload it, but she won't load the stupid thing. Well, that's our next step. So.
Well, maybe you're right. I shouldn't.
But no, that was a joke. I modified because actually unloading the dishwasher is her chore. But.
Gotcha. My daughter's chores are to tell me no, I think, when I ask her to do things.
Yeah.
Sometimes she'll say, she's my kid. She does this. Like the other day, she was like, what is she? I don't remember what she wanted, but I think it was like her cup. And she just needed to stand up and grab it. And I was in the other room. And she's like, Dad, can you bring me my cup? And I was like, no, it's right next to you. Just stand up. She's like, but I'm cold and you're not. And I got the cup. I don't know how to tell her no.
Yeah, telling me no doesn't go well in my house.
No means yes for Jen. If you're trying to get on that roster,
then she gets have you lost your fucking mind response. So, so that doesn't go well. But, yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's knock out that gift goal and let's get going.
All right. I did want to say, if you're here, Brittany, Brittany sent $25 on Cash App yesterday, and it came in after the show ended. So I just want to say thank you. She said blowing Jay's gift goal, and I appreciate any amount of blowing out the gift goal. Melanie said happy Friday, get the goal going. Thank you. And Ox Black said don't argue with Jen, just comply. Here's 10. Yeah, if Jen and I ever in any scenario wind up working closer, like physically closer to each other, I'm gonna have to shut the fuck up a lot more. But there's a good enough distance between us. And Jen doesn't leave her house that I feel safe.
We got later Venmos too yesterday. So Nighthawk, thank you for yesterday. And then also Amber sent, check out that Nick Powers guy. He does spreadsheets comparing blue and red states on so many levels. I think you'd really enjoy him. So they sent those later yesterday.
Thank you. Ross, Jay, maybe your way to say no is to make it too embarrassing for her to ask you. Give her the cup, but do an annoying dance and song on your way over. The other thing about her is she's my kid. Like, she doesn't care. She won't care if I'm embarrassing. She's embarrassing. I can't do it. I lose every battle with her. It's like Jen, except for I don't talk back to her as much as I talk back to Jen. I'm completely run by her. I wanted to show you my favorite thing that I saw on the internet all day yesterday. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen it already. If you don't, rude. And I'll show it to you right now. Obviously the LA mayor race was called, and these two people. This is like Happy Atheism is their account on Instagram. I don't know who this is, but there were so many conspiracy theories, and I thought Donald Trump was worried that that was a fraudulent election. So I thought I would play this. Looks like there's a good amount of MAGA maybe that has come in so far, and I thought this was just like a good explainer video. You'll see not MAGA here on the right, and then MAGA on the left.
LA, vote for mayor. Just LA, vote for mayor. Not whole state. Not whole county. Just city.
City.
LA City,
City.
55% blue.
55.
LA City, 14% red.
Bigger number?
Lots of blue.
No blue.
Little red.
Huh?
Blue mayor. Red mayor?
Red mare.
Probably not.
No.
LA.
It's my favorite thing I saw all day. Maggie, did you get that? We ought to do that now. All right, let's jump into it. Let's kick things off with everybody's favorite pollster, Henry. Is it Harry? And I want to say Henry. This was again. If anybody knows, Furkan Gozakara. I love how much stuff you clip. I even love this new UFC style that you're using for the captions. We don't need music in the background. Could you please stop doing it? I love you. And thank you for all the content that you clipped. I like your logo here. All of this is great. Could you please not add music?
We can take a look at Google searches and see that interest in Todd Blanche, not surprisingly, is way up 233% on Monday versus the prior Monday. But I want you to take a look here at the red, the footnote. I tried to make it a little bit bigger for you. Top associated searches, Attorney General Trump and Epstein.
This is not going well. The last thing Todd Blanche wants to see is a 233% increase with his name being searched along with Trump and Epstein. You don't want to see that.
That to me is so important because the Epstein case has really kind of fallen off the radar a little bit, and it's been such a bad case in terms of politicalness or political sort of attitudes for Donald Trump. And now all of a sudden, with Blanche being nominated, hello, what is back in the news again? It is the Epstein case, something that Donald Trump, I don't think, wants to be back in the news.
It's really interesting. So it was one of the top associated searches, Trump and Epstein, when people were looking for Todd Blanche. There are going to be confirmation hearings where senators, Republicans, and Democrats can ask questions.
Blanche has people bot searching Dow 50,000
about Jeffrey Epstein. You know, what's it going to be like to have that back in the news? How excited should the president be to have Epstein back in the news?
It is a political nightmare for Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files to be back in the news.
You guys remember yesterday when Trump said that Graham Plattner was worse than Epstein? Do you remember that? It was the 850th like most shocking thing he said of the day, so it just didn't even make the news. But do you remember that? He's too old and senile to defend himself against Epstein. If we can ever get that guy under oath, that's going to be beautiful.
For Donald Trump. I mean, just take a look.
All right. Anyways, wanted to show that. Bad news for Todd Blanche. I fucking hate Todd Blanche. Does anybody else just fucking hate Todd Blanche? I hate Todd Blanche far more than I hate Pam Bondi. I might hate Todd Blanche the most of anybody in this administration that isn't Stephen Miller. Like, who is worse than Todd Blanche? It's only Stephen Miller. I like Donald Trump more than I like Todd Blanche. Heck yeah, I like Hegseth more than I like Todd Blanche. At least I get to watch Hegseth work out sometimes, and that makes me giggle a little bit. One of the Krasensteins got mad at me yesterday. I think I got blocked. There was a video of Hegseth bench pressing, and at the end, at the end of his reps, he was like kicking out his legs. And one of the Krasensteins posted that on Twitter, and then somebody was like, "You could never lift that much." And then Krasenstein was like, "I can bench press double my body weight." And I said, "That's pretty cool that you could bench press 220 pounds. That's really impressive." And then I got blocked. So I guess we can't make fun of the Krasenstein's height, even if they're on your side. So. Anyways, if you know the Krasensteins, tell them sorry. I didn't mean to offend them. I don't know if it's Ed or what's the other one, Brian. I don't know which one blocked me, but now I'm blocked by a Krasenstein. So All right. I came across this clip, and I don't think it's that important. I just think it's ironic, and then I wanted to make fun of JD Vance a little bit and remind people that JD Vance fucking sucks and isn't really a human. He was on with other non-human and man who slashed the tires of a Fox News employee so that she would take a ride home with him, and then he married her. And his own mother hates him. Jesse Waters.
Stuff. The midterm elections right around the corner. The Democrats have nominated Tallarico and Plattner to win back men, Mr. Vice President. Is that going to work?
Two very manly alpha males here. Graham Plattner would knock the fuck out of both of them. I don't know about Tallarico. Tallarico probably doesn't fit the mold of like traditional masculinity. I prefer Tallarico over Plattner. I love James Tallarico as a human being. I think he's a uniquely good human being, and we need lots of those people in Congress. And that's why they like nothing they hit him with actually lands. They haven't even come up with like a good nickname for him. But who should we listen to about masculinity and winning back men? JD Vance, Mr. fucking Charisma.
I'm probably the worst person to ask how the Democrats can win votes, Jesse. But look, my free political advice to Democrats is very simple. It's just nominate normal human beings. Don't run on men playing in women's sports.
Nobody's running on that.
Don't run on letting illegal immigrants flood our country.
Nobody's running on that. Nobody has ever run on either of those two things ever. That's great advice, JD. I honestly don't know if he knows that. I know that MAGA doesn't know that. I know that MAGA thinks that's what people like. We never talk about it. The only time we ever talk about like men in women's sports, which is just trans women, is when Republicans come in here with boners and they're like, I want to talk about trans women. We're like, all right, fine, we'll talk about trans women. And I want to talk about sports, so you don't know I have a boner, but we know you have a boner. Amy Lynn said, how much do you want to bet they'll act out another fake attempt on Sunday? Ooh, maybe.
And don't run on letting fraudsters in Minnesota take advantage of the American taxpayer.
Yeah, nobody ran on that either.
And you guys would do a lot better. I don't know why Democrats can't just find normal, well-adjusted candidates, whether men or women. I think they would do a lot better. But I'm not complaining, Jesse, because I think it puts our party, my party, in a much better position to perform in the midterms. As you know, Jesse, midterms are always very tough for the party in power. If you go back historically,
they're setting the stage.
Even when the country's been doing very well, midterms are pretty bad for the country or for the party that's in power. But
yeah, all right. I just want to point out that they're going after Plattner. Again, Donald Trump said he was worse than Epstein. I want to remind you that all this talk about Nazis, remember when there was that group chat of like, it was like a Turning Point USA, I think it was the TPUSA group chat that was leaked. And there were tons of people in there saying like, I love Hitler. And then Republicans pretended it was a bunch of children as if there weren't like a bunch of 30-year-old Turning Point USA people in that group chat. They pretended that they were like all kids and they weren't kids. And remember when that happened and the entire GOP is like, why do we always have to talk about Nazis? Young Republicans, is that who it was? Young Republicans, not TPUSA. Thank you. Remember when JD Vance said this? It's weird because when they were saying I love Hitler, it was no big deal. It was just words. But now that it's Graham Plattner, suddenly he's the worst human being on earth. Remember what JD Vance said, though.
By focusing on what kids are saying in a group chat, grow up. I'm sorry. Focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chats. But
focus instead on a tattoo from 25 years ago. Focus instead on that.
There's another angle to this that I just have to be honest about. I mean, I'm like an old guy at this point. I'm 41 years old. I have 3 kids. I grew up in a different world, right? Where not most of the stupid things that I did when I was a teenager and a young adult, they're not on the internet. Like this
is my favorite part of. He's saying I grew up in a different world. He's talking about like Nazi shit. So was he saying Nazi shit? I'm also glad that the things I said as a teenager are on public record. But mostly it wouldn't have been Nazi shit, but it would have been some bad stuff. It wouldn't have gone well. I don't think I can ever run for public office, if we're being honest. There's far too many like potential texts out there from 20 years ago that would just bury me.
Tell my kids, especially my boys, don't put things on the internet. Like, be careful with what you.
Also, maybe don't say fucked up things. That would be the better advice. I don't have a boy. Any of you who have boys, maybe the better advice is don't say fucked up shit. Not don't put it on the internet. Don't say it.
Post. If you put something in a group chat, assume that some scumbag is going to leak it in an effort to try to cause you harm or cause your family harm.
The scumbag in this case was the leaker and not the Nazi. Got it.
But the reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive stupid joke.
And this kid, again, was 30 and running or working with young Republicans.
Is cause to ruin their lives. And at some point, we're all going to have to say, enough of this BS. We're not going to allow the worst moment in a 21-year-old's group chat to ruin a kid's life for the rest of time. That's just not okay. Like, we live in a digital world. This stuff is now etched in stone online. We're all going to have to say.
All right. Anyways, just want to remind you of that. I also wanted to remind you guys that he said, don't stop running weirdos. Here's Mr. Charisma himself. Remember when he went into a donut shop during the campaign? And it was like, this is the first time he'd ever spoken to human beings ever before, and they were not happy to see him.
The zoo has come to town. Thank you for letting us come in here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. Okay, yeah. She doesn't want to be on film, guys, so just cut her out of anything. Appreciate that, man. I'm JD Vance. I'm running for vice president. Good to see you.
Okay.
How long are you working?
I've been here since the beginning of July.
Okay.
For this year.
Okay. Good. Okay. How about you, sir?
Almost 2 years.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Everything. Yeah. I mean, a lot of glazed here, some sprinkle stuff, some of these cinnamon rolls, just whatever makes sense.
Bro, have you ever ordered what do you mean whatever makes sense? Just tell him what donuts you want. Like, he can't even be bothered to get donuts. Some glaze, some sprinkled stuff, whatever makes sense.
Place been around?
About 4 years.
About 4 years? Okay.
Okay.
How long have you been here?
A little over 6 months.
Okay, good.
Why do people are like, I love JD Vance. Why do you love this guy? Maybe it's because he's such a athlete. Remember the athlete JD Vance here? This was from Pod Save America.
Thinks that Southern California is still safe enough for a family vacation. He spent the weekend here at Disneyland, where he was booed by other people at the park, mostly over deportation. In fairness to JD, though, he did gift all of us this incredibly entertaining video of him attempting to run. Do you think that was his first time running? Did he have weights in his shoes?
I can't wait till he issues some 2,000-word outraged, self-righteous tweet about I was going to check on my child.
Yeah, that's the guy. Last thing, this aged well because this isn't really related, but I also found this clip when I was looking. And just remember this clip as we go through today's show, as we talk about the massive corruption and the total capitulation to 5 Wall Street companies and VC firms.
President Trump's vision is so simple and yet so powerful. We're done, ladies and gentlemen, catering to Wall Street. We'll commit to the working man.
Well, that didn't play out, did it? Before I get to that, though, I also wanted to show you one clip from Troy Nehls because this is just insane. This is Troy Nehls, who is always either about to smoke a cigar or is smoking a cigar. And we've got to this stage in the cult where this is a real conversation that a real member of Congress had with a real reporter about a real president.
You know, I know we got this weaponization fund, but I think maybe we need to establish a fund for those that have Trump derangement syndrome and get counseling. Maybe we ought to provide some counseling for all the nut jobs out there that think Donald Trump is the worst thing. Donald Trump is the best thing to happen in this country in 100 years. He was born.
Gets so much weirder.
He was born a very special baby. I bet you the doctor said, I can tell this is a very special baby, right?
I bet the doctor said some version of that. Like, oh, this baby's different. You may want to supervise this baby always. Remember that baby grew up and his parents hated him so much they like shipped him off to boarding school, and then they had to hide all his grades because he was such a fucking idiot. And everybody who's ever been on record that went to school with him as a kid was like, that guy was an asshole. He was just like a bully nepo baby that nobody liked. Anyways, the best thing to happen to America in 100 years is Donald Trump, because he cut taxes for rich people. But they're for the everyman. I want to show this. This was Carla Sands and Bakari Sellers, and it's kind of just on brand for what we're seeing out of Republicans. Republicans have entered a stage of, we're not going to consume anything anymore. Like, we're not going to pay attention to anything that Trump is doing. We're just going to heap praise upon him, and if he's criticized, we'll just blindly defend him. And it's getting pathetic. Like, I don't know how you can go on CNN as a political correspondent defending the Republicans and not know about the amount of money that Donald Trump has made for himself and his family. But here we are.
Also see the grift that is Donald Trump and Donald Trump Inc. and the Trump family and Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. I think that they see
changing the subject.
No.
He wants to impeach him.
No, what I'm saying is the American public. Right now, we're talking about Trump's impeachment for his legacy.
You want to talk about President Biden and that?
Yes, immediately. Would you like to talk about President Biden? No, thank you. Could you get the sentence out, please? Didn't even get it out yet. She doesn't even know what the claim is yet, and she's just like already wants to change it to Biden.
He was on the take from every major adversary.
First of all, what? All right, let's all back up. Let's just be.
This is the face of dumb confidence. It's the MAGA face. He was on the take from every major country. Can you name one? Joe Biden got $0 and 0 cents. That's the exact amount of money that he ever got from any of Hunter Biden's business deals. They never connected him to a single crime or a single cent of money that came from foreign governments, ever. And we just got to keep living in a world where dipshits with a smile on their face like, should we talk about Biden? He was so much worse. How was he worse? You know that he was worse.
Extremely clear. The wealth of Donald Trump has grown exponentially. We haven't seen anybody make this many trades.
He's a real businessman.
No, he's a grifter. The difference is.
Listen to you.
Do you understand that someone?
President of the United States.
Yes.
Yeah. What are these? What is that? How is that a comeback? He's a real businessman. He's a grifter. He's the president. Yeah, he's both, actually. Did they just not? I don't think she knows. To be fair, I don't think she knows, because she does seem very surprised by all of this. But cult is incredibly strong. The death throes of the cult. That's where you start to see this praise.
The United States is benefiting off of the presidency. Do you not see that?
He's made more stock trades than any president in the history of this country.
Do you not see that?
He's literally
Unbelievable president working every day on behalf of the American people to make their lives better.
Can I ask you a very just plain question?
Ask me.
Has the president of the United States benefited or enriched himself by making stock trades, then mentioning then mentioning those?
No idea. Special boy turned real businessman. Yeah. That was a great comment. Who just said that? Who just said stickers for cookies? That's an excellent comment. Well done.
Same companies from his pedestal as president of the United States.
But I don't know if the president.
You don't know if Donald Trump's done this.
I haven't followed that, but I do know that the senators
he's a great president, but you don't actually know that.
Also, none of the senators have done that. None of the senators have done what Trump's doing. None. Not one of them has went and visited like a business and then tweeted out like the stock symbol from that business. Not one of them has a cryptocurrency that they get businesses and foreign countries to invest in exchange for like selling them chips or giving them relief from tariffs. Only one person has done that.
About his financial well-being on several occasions, including when it comes to companies like Dell. He said at the White House, "Go buy Dell." Then hundreds of trades of that stock.
Stupid face, just blinking. I don't know anything about that. It must not be true. She'll never look it up.
The stock goes up, he benefits from it. And that's just one aspect of this. There's also his family doing business in drones, in cryptocurrency, and other areas where they are either getting contracts from the federal government or the president has the ability to regulate those industries to their benefit. So those are the types of questions that are on the table right now that are very real, and that I think, Bakari is hinting at. Democrats are going to look into.
I think that
whether that looks like impeachment or not.
It's called accountability and oversight.
It might just be oversight, and that might be it.
Arturo, you're coming in here as the voice of reason now. I love that. Good for you. I like it. It's a new, softer approach for you. That's good. Maybe catch more flies with honey. I like that shift from you. It'd be nice to have you be more conversational today. Yeah. Thanks for being here. Okay. I did want to. We have the UFC fight coming up for Trump's birthday, and I don't know if any of you are going to care about this. There's a reporter show that I love called Pablo Finds Out. They do a bunch of investigative journalism. A lot of that winds up crossing over from like the sports world where he normally is into politics. And this was one of those instances. And I've been a UFC fan my whole life, or a mixed martial arts fan my whole life. Well, since like high school, junior high probably. I used to go over to my friend Mike's house, and we'd go to like Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, and you had to rent like the DVDs of the UFC fights, or there was the Pride fights, which were crazy. Like the rules were all very, very different. And so I've watched everything. I used to watch it religiously. This the UFC, or was a big part of the UFC, is not true. For anybody who's been around watching the UFC forever, this new thing Dana White says all the time isn't true. So this is Pablo Torre Finds Out, and he's with Luke. What's Luke's? Thomas, who is one of the OG UFC reporters. Dana White really doesn't like him, and it's clear that these two have a business relationship that is different than what they're saying. The Dana White shift into the political sphere and bringing Donald Trump into the UFC events, that has more to do with business than it does to do with their friendship or Donald Trump's loyalty to the UFC or his role in making the UFC possible. None of that happened.
Told is, well, this is of course an authentic friendship between.
Sorry, real quick. Is that supposed to say IDF? The IDF unalived a 7-month-old baby in the West Bank. Awesome. Great. We should definitely keep giving Israel money.
Dana White and Donald Trump. Donald Trump saved the UFC early on, and according to Dana White at various Republican national conventions, this is a debt that he has always been grateful for, and Donald Trump has been his guy.
In 2001, my partners and I bought the UFC, and it was basically considered a blood sport. Donald championed the UFC before it was popular.
I lived through the UFC.
He let them rent out his casino. That's it. He just rented out the casino. Yeah, well, business would be having more than 4,000 seats. It's not about making money, I don't believe. It's about having events at the White House and giving Trump a thank you for his service in early UFC. Well, you'd be wrong about that, Arturo. You'd be very wrong about that, and you should keep watching.
When Dana White got there, I lived through the UFC at the Ultimate Fighter in 2005. I lived through the rise to McGregor and Rousey. I watched all of it. Let me be as clear as I possibly can. Donald Trump plays all role into any of it. There is a kernel of it circa 2001.
What have I ever done? Nothing? Ask your dad about that. Caked his face last night. He likes to let it dry when I'm done, and then I have to do it again, and he leaves it on, he cakes it, and then he peels it off like a face mask. Don't tell me I haven't done anything.
But in terms of continuity all the way through, it just completely evaporates in the interim. Dana White was relentlessly doing media in 05 and 06 and 07 and 08 and 2009. And then they get the Fox deal in 2011. He's doing more media and more media and more media. He is asked to tell the story of the UFC's success every single time. I mean, all these articles all sound the same at some point, what the story of the UFC is. They don't ever identify Donald Trump at all at ever having a role, at being a part of it. It just doesn't feature ever in any conversation. How can it be that after 2016, it's the centerpiece of the conversation?
Well, in our attempt to help fact check this premise that Donald Trump has been retconned onto...
So I'm too specific with the dad jokes. How do I come up with it? They're not jokes.
The history of the UFC, because
we got Bud fired up though. Keep going, Bud.
Financial incentives are making it worth Dana White's while. In our effort to just try to illuminate that, it brings us to a piece of video that I had never seen before.
There's an interview with Dana White, circa 2009 is when it was explained to me. This is right around the time that Donald Trump is kind of, I mean, it's hard to call him exactly the face of Affliction MMA, but something of...
He owned a different MMA company. Affliction. Of course, Donald Trump was associated with the most visible sign of a douchebag you've ever seen in your life. Like anybody in an Affliction shirt was a douchebag. And it was 100% accurate. If you wore an Affliction shirt, some of you probably did, douchebag. So, of course, Donald Trump was part of that. But yeah, somehow this helped the UFC.
A prominent figure. Affliction MMA, it was the garish t-shirts that were everywhere in the late aughts. In this clip from Bobby Rozik's documentary, Dana White is describing other promoters at that time who were trying to get something going.
All these other businesses failed because you got a bunch of guys that think it's cool and hip to be in the fight business and don't know a thing about the fight business. It's like me getting into the movie business.
I only wore tap out. All right, so you were a douchebag on a budget. I hear you.
Or something. Oh, it's cool. I'd like to sit around behind a camera and make movies. I don't know a thing about making movies. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you got all these guys who have some money. You got the Trumps, Cuban, T-shirt guys, whoever it is that have some money that want to get into it.
Does that seem like Trump was like they were best buds and that Trump was helping him promote the UFC? Does it sound that way to you?
They have other businesses. That's where they make their money.
Not exactly the speech Dana was giving at the RNC.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, he doesn't come out and insult him. He doesn't come out
but
and...
he dismisses the very premise.
And Trump didn't own Affliction. He was partners with them. I think they also used his hotel and he had like a small minority stake. He was trying to promote them.
Buddy, and this is gonna, I know to people who are gonna hear this for the first time, they're gonna think I'm hot taking this. But does this look like the kind of relationship that would be rewarded with a fight on the White House lawn? Like this kind of simpatico togetherness in 2009? They clearly don't have that at this point.
Yeah. And so the premise of when...
Stacey says, I have an intellectual crush on Pablo Torre. Same.
When did this all get together and why? It seems like Dana White is quite good at knowing where the money is and what it takes to unlock that money. And so being in...
Let's start making some connections. When the UFC sold, was it the Saudis that came in and invested in the UFC? It was the Saudis. I remember that. And who's there? Who broadcasts their fights now? Is that Paramount? Oh. Two companies that are hand in hand with Donald Trump. Yeah. That's probably the connection. Right?
Business with the government, with governments. Yeah, that's not a story of, oh man, my best friend for decades. I finally get to realize my dream alongside him realizing his dream. What you're seeing is a bunch of...
By the way, going to be a lot of Saudis at the UFC event on the White House lawn. Not nothing for us. Going to be a lot of Saudis and foreign investors there.
People following money.
Once it became clear that Trump was onto something, that he represented a bigger political movement, and that intertwining with that political movement could prove very useful, I think that's when everything kind of really kicked into high gear about the transactionalism.
The Saudis invested through the PIF, and then the UFC like gave that money back, but then they went and they started hosting events together. So the Saudis like investment, I think, then came back through TKO through subsidiaries. But yes, the Saudis have been heavily involved in the UFC. TKO owns it. I'm trying to remember TKO Saudi. I'm trying to remember where they're. Let me go back and find that chain. Yeah. So they do the event hosting deals, and then they subsidize the fight purses. So yes, they're also included. They are also part of Zuffa Boxing, which is Dana White's like boxing promotion, and they also heavily fund the WWE. Yeah, kind of like Live Golf. Yeah, I mean the Saudis have bought tons of stuff. They bought a bunch of sports teams. They bought a bunch of soccer teams, NBA teams. Like they're everywhere. They bought into everything. So, does it seem like it's an event for us? I don't think it's an event for us. It's legitimately an event for Donald Trump's birthday. It's just happening on the White House lawn. And they're selling some of these ticket packages for like the VIP ones for over $1 million. And that gives them like exclusive events that are private. We don't think Trump's going to be there? Yeah, and Live Golf, where'd they run their Florida swing basically at all the Trump properties? Yeah. They did buy the EA games and they fucked up all the EA games. That's true. They basically own college football now. Remember when they funded 9/11 and now they're like best friends with Donald Trump? All right. More economic news we'll talk about. The SpaceX IPO is today. I don't know where they're at now. We'll look. I'll look while this is going. Normally we wouldn't cover this. Normally I wouldn't even want to give Elon this type of press. But today is a historic day in America. This is a fraud. Elon Musk taking SpaceX public at this valuation and getting the laws changed is one of the most brazen, like fraudulent acts I've ever seen in my life. And almost everybody agrees that it's fraud. Everybody knows exactly what's happening right now. And yet people are still investing and it's allowed to happen. But before we talk about, well, actually, I'm gonna skip this part. We can come back. There's a lot to cover. I was just gonna shit talk Elon hating humans, but this is Steve Eisman. You might remember from The Big Short. Mark Baum, Steve Carell's character, is actually Steve Eisman. So this is actually the guy who Steve Carell was playing in The Big Short. And he was on CNBC to ask about the SpaceX IPO. The thing I love about Steve Eisman, he has his own podcast. I listen to it pretty regularly. The thing I like about Steve Eisman is that he's always like bet against the government. He bets against corruption. He's one of those people, like he's I don't know what his net worth is. It's a lot. A lot of the things he does I wouldn't necessarily consider ethical, but when he has an opportunity to bet against corruption, he bets big. And you tell me if he thinks this is a good idea or not.
The host of the Real Eisman Playbook podcast. And Steve, thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Why don't we talk first about the SpaceX IPO? We're anticipating it's going to be here later this week.
Sure.
Even come Friday.
I'm not a fan.
Why? Explain.
Let's see. You know, if you read the prospectus, I mean, there's some amusing stuff in the prospectus, like my favorite part of the prospectus is that one of the things that SpaceX wants to do is asteroid mining. I thought that was kind of funny. It's there's some
That's included in their IPO as future revenue. Asteroid mining. And also harvesting rainbows. Yeah. You can't put fucking asteroid mining in your projections for your future revenues when that technology doesn't exist. The entire this is such a massive scam. It's gonna get worse. Stick around. We're gonna try and simplify this as much as we can.
Asteroid mining going on in this sci-fi.
Yes, Namasi. It's don't look up. It's exactly don't look up. Like, how did they get this right? Remember when they decided not to protect the world because they're like, what was it, gold? Was it gold that was on the asteroid? Yeah. We're just doing fantasy world. Bob, shut up. Stop defending Elon Musk, you idiot.
If Elon Musk didn't care about humans, he wouldn't have created Starlink.
Oh, word? He wouldn't have created an internet that he can make money off of? How did he get Starlink? Oh, we handed him NASA? Shut up. Get off his dick. Starlink's somebody else. Like, he didn't invent He didn't invent satellite internet. Been around. He just has a lot of money. And then he has access to rockets, so he got to do it. He didn't. It's not special, and that I don't know why you think that would go to show that he like cares about humanity. Anyways, back to this bullshit.
A show on Apple called "For All Mankind" is a central theme, but I think the probability of asteroid mining happening anytime soon is pretty low. But I think what is probably most important in the prospectus is how capital intensive SpaceX has become. So if you go back to fiscal year 2023 and you compare revenue to CapEx was only 42% of revenue. And in the most recent first quarter, it was 215% of revenue. And that's because back in fiscal year 2023, SpaceX was not in AI. It was just in
CapEx, by the way, is just like the money that they're spending to like either make improvements or acquire other businesses. So 42% of their revenue was acquiring other businesses.
Back in fiscal year 2023, SpaceX was not in AI. It was just in Starlink and,
so it's not even space that's so hard. It's the AI.
It's the AI that is incredibly capital intensive. And Grok, with all due respect to Elon Musk, is not a world-class AI company.
Yeah. None of this makes sense. Their future, their revenue projections are based on the AI expansion and things like asteroid mining. He's got the worst AI, and asteroid mining doesn't exist. Remember, like we've talked about this before. We can go just broadly though. What they're doing is Elon Musk is bringing SpaceX to market. It's been privately funded. They got all the money they possibly could privately, and now they're going to bring it to market. And everybody who invested now already has shares, and they launched it. What did they launch at today? Was it like 160? Let's see what the stock is at now. It's at 170. This is fucking stupid. It launched at 168. It's 170. Like it dipped initially pretty hard. Now it's up to 170. And this is just going to allow these people who have been given stock to cash out their investments in XAI, in Twitter. Remember, he bombed Twitter, paid $44 billion for it. None of that was his money. And now he's got to pay these people back. So he has to roll Twitter up into XAI, and so that these people can cash out and get their money back. This is all fake. And they rewrote the rules. Normally, I think it would take, I don't remember how many days it was. I think it was over 100 days. Somebody can tell me what the timeline was. But now, after 5 days, some of these people are going to be able to sell. These early investors are going to be able to go and sell their stock. And these things are going to, SpaceX is going to wind up included in mutual funds. Now, there's a lot of mutual funds that are saying like, hey, we're not going to do this. Like, we're not going to include SpaceX. We're actually going to ignore that rule, and it's not going to be included. But for a lot of you that are just somebody manages your 401k, they're going to put your money into SpaceX, and every single IPO, we'll get to this in a second, but every IPO similar to this, it goes up, you have the IPO, and then it crashes. This is just a way for billionaires and maybe a trillionaire and multi-millionaires to steal from everyday people, from retail investors. The craziest part about it is that everybody knows this is happening. There's nobody in the financial markets that doesn't know this is happening and that this is exactly what they're doing. And we still got dipshits hyping this up. And this should have opened at 168 and immediately crashed. Everybody should have just been selling that had it. Or like putting, I guess you have 5 days. It shouldn't, I guess, not crashed. It shouldn't have budged. It should have just stayed there. It makes absolutely no sense that this stock is going up. This is just all hype, and this is what Elon's actually good at. He's really good at overvaluing companies and getting their stock price to rise significantly despite never having the revenues to justify the stock price. Not a single one of his businesses where the stock price is justified by revenues. Because you say so? No, we'll explain it to you. But why do you think it's not? Because Elon says so? Like make an argument there. This is somebody that I follow on Twitter, Good Alexander. This is a pretty good explanation, actually.
Controversial take. that we can play in the future. I believe that there's been intervention in U.S. equity futures.
All right, sorry, this is I didn't set this up correctly. So if you want to look at the SpaceX IPO, you can go back. We covered this for like an hour last week, but the gist of all of this is that all of these investors, and this includes like Google, for example. Google has invested, and Google gave like $80 billion, I think, to they bought in for like $80 billion. In fact, let me play that first. Let me play that one first. Sorry, I had these in the wrong order. And Google knows, because Google is also an investor in basically in Tesla and in Twitter. They're obviously invested in Nvidia. They're invested in basically everybody's AI. They just sit there and they send money back and forth to each other while they watch their valuations skyrocket. But Google raised $80 billion, and it's a mandatory convertible. Here's the explanation.
Right, and the funny thing is, for Google to front run them with that 80 billion plus a mandatory convert, I never thought I'd ever see Google issue a mandatory convertible, which is a classic warning sign, because it's a very aggressive way to raise capital by dumping all that stock. And so they're already being front run. I think there's a decent chance Meta tries to front run them. But remember one thing: the cash burn of the Mag 7 plus Oracle in recent years is astronomical relative to the previous 10. In other words, these were cash cows.
You're just talking about these Oracle specifically. They used to make a lot of revenue, and now they're burning a lot of revenue. Like, they used to bring in money, and that's what drove their stock price. Now they're spending insane amounts of money, and they're doing this circular funding where they're not actually making money. They're buried right now. They're nowhere near revenue neutral. They are revenue negative. So the investors, seeing that they'll never get a return on this investment, because if you're going to value like the SpaceX IPO, I think it was like 200 times revenue. That essentially, you're saying like you're going to pay, you may have to pay people off in 200 years. These investors, you're going to pay them off in 200 years. So how do you pay them off if your revenue is never going to pay them off? Let's break that down. Pretend we own. We're selling. I got fingernail clippers right here. And you guys all invested in my fingernail company, and we raised $1 million. But I'm not selling that many of them. I'm making $1,000 a year, and you guys have given me $1 million. At $1,000 a year, how long is it going to take for me to give you guys a return on your investment? Well, if we don't want to wait for that, what else could we do? We could say, all right, you guys put in $1 million. Let's go public. This is now we're going to make this a publicly traded fingernail clipper company, and we're going to put it out on the market. And we're going to hype it to everybody. We're going to go on the news. We're going to do podcasts. All of you guys are going to go out and talk about what an exciting stock this is, because these fingernail clippers eventually will allow us to, I don't know, what's something, harvest asteroids. We'll be able to do asteroid mining with these fingernail clippers. Something stupid that obviously doesn't fucking exist. And we go and we hype that, and we go public, and a bunch of people go and they buy our stock. And you guys who invested just start selling off your stock to them as the price goes up. And you get your $1 million back. We raised $3 million. You get all your money back plus your return on investment by selling the stock. Right? And then the stock just eventually just tanks, because the revenue never matches up. All these retail investors who came in later, who weren't in early, they believed you when you hyped the stock. They were like, oh, those fingernail clippers are going to mine asteroids. And then they're left holding the bag when the stock crashes. And all the people that were in early have already cashed out on the backs of these retail investors. So that's what's happening to you. You think these Trump accounts for these kids were really about kids? Or do you think maybe it was a way to force people to invest in companies like Dell and OpenAI and SpaceX? It's forcing you. If you have a retirement account that you don't manage and you're in any one of these thousands of funds that base themselves off the S&P 500, suddenly you're a mandatory investor and they're just going to take your money. You are the suckers. You are the mark. If you didn't have SpaceX stock before today, you just need to know you're the fucking mark. They want your money, and maybe you'll be able to time it right. Maybe you'll get in at 170, it'll peak at 175, and you'll get out. Maybe you can time the market right. But if you don't, if you're a long-term investor for SpaceX, this is going to crater. It's going to drop like 100%, like 80% probably, not 100%. Probably we're going to see like a 60 to 80% drop over the course of the year. And who paid for that? The people who bought once it went public. Who made money? The early investors. It's a heist. It's a rug pull. And everybody fucking knows it. And it's just happening. They're celebrating it today. On CNBC, they're like, we're watching closely the Tesla stock or the SpaceX stock. Let's see what's Let's see what happens. Yeah, I guess you can see what happens. But we know what is happening. They're forcing America into this investment. Best case scenario, they forced you into an investment and it works out. But that would have to mean that Elon Musk would start asteroid mining very quickly, and what he mined off those asteroids would be extremely valuable, and they would like 100x their revenue overnight. That's not happening. You bought it before? No, you didn't. It wasn't public, you liar. How did you buy it before? If it wasn't, it just became publicly traded like an hour ago. You guys said this with Tesla too. This is what happened with Tesla. Yeah, thank you. Yes, this is what they did with Tesla. This is how they got their money out of Tesla. And then they've been hyping Tesla since then. Yeah, thank you. It's a very good point.
And companies like Meta are going from 80 billion of free cash flow to almost negative, or Oracle going from 50 billion of cash flow to negative.
Hold on one second. You said just day traded, opened at 150, in at 153, out at 175. It opened at 168. It opened at 11:55 at 168.19. It's never hit 175. Yeah, you're just lying. That's crazy. It hasn't even hit 175. It's at or did it hit 175? Oh, it did. It hit 176. Yeah. You didn't get it at 153.
Free cash flow to negative 20. So the bottom line point that I'm trying to make, and this is so important, Wilf, if you believe the assumptions from Morgan Stanley, Goldman, and the bankers, the only way SpaceX achieves that growth is...
Oh, sorry, I missed a couple of these. Snoopy said happy Friday. Proud Atheist said, do we think PDT rules were eliminated for this IPO? What's PDT? Pattern day trader, the 25,000 minimum balance for frequent day trading. Yeah, I think, yes, they were. I read about this morning. I didn't know that. I'm pretty sure. Double check this. I read about this morning. I didn't know that was called the PDT, but I think they dropped it to 2,000 from 25,000. I may be wrong about that. Check who made that comment. Make sure that that's correct, Proud Atheist. But I think I saw that like Vanguard had dropped it. Like some of these funds had dropped it to 2,000. I don't know if that's what we're talking about. But I think so.
Really continuing to decimate the free cash flow of Mag 7 plus Oracle. In other words, they're the ones, think of like a railroad system to space. That's one of the big growth areas where they're going to put data centers in space over the next 5 to 7 years. That's like a rail system. So SpaceX is the railroad, and they're going to build a supply chain up to space, very profitable. Guess who has to pay for that? Mag 7 plus Oracle. So at the ultimate bottom line end of the day...
Oh, you got in on at the 135? Okay, that makes sense then. You got in on the early, you secured that. There was only a certain amount that was offered at the 135, right?
Americans' 401ks are already 45-50% tech. And now we're taking this monstrosity and dumping it into the NASDAQ and the S&P over the...
Sorry, that part was important. I want to go back real quick. Sorry.
45-50% tech.
Back a little bit more.
Mag 7 plus Oracle. So at the ultimate bottom line end of the day, Americans' 401ks are already 45, 50% tech. And now we're taking this monstrosity and dumping it into the NASDAQ and the S&P over the next year.
But it's not just SpaceX. It's also going to be Anthropic. And who else is going public? There's somebody else. It's Anthropic and somebody else that's going public. SpaceX did open today at 150. Well, I couldn't get it at 150. You may be right. Like I couldn't get it at 150 when I looked through my investing account. I got the alert at like 11:55 that there was they had pushed it back and that they had to open it at 168. So maybe I just don't have the right tools.
And it just says
OpenAI. Thank you.
It's up where whenever in my career, and we talked about this in my first book, A Colossal Failure of Common Sense about Lehman. In 2007, the financials got up near 24% of the S&P 500 across all the different.
Okay. So the financial collapse of 2008, you saw these collateralized debt obligations that eventually brought down the market. They were up to like 24% of people's 401ks, or just investments in total. Now, these 5 companies who all have the same problem, they have collateralized loan obligations. They're making up 45 to 50%, and that's before SpaceX, that's before OpenAI, and that's before Anthropic. So as these, because they make up such the 50% of our market already, and it's going to be 60, 70% of the market, when you have the dip, it's going to crash our markets. There's no other way around it. Unless somewhere, I don't know if China's going to bail us out. Like we're going to get a bunch of people like stuffing money into our markets. We don't have the capital. We don't have the liquidity in this country to prop this up.
Verticals. And now we're at 50% of the S&P 500's composition in tech and AI. And it's just, it's malpractice, really. I mean, somebody has to make a statement here because it's just not fair to America's 401k system.
I mean, when we think about the impact on the broader markets as a whole, Larry, on Friday, we saw the NASDAQ sell off by...
Ricky, let me help you here. Ricky, you're missing the entire point. It doesn't fucking matter, Ricky, if Elon Musk can mine asteroids. It doesn't fucking matter that Tesla went public and that if you had held on to your stock, that you would have made a nice return. What matters is that they use these IPOs to steal. They lie, they manipulate, and they steal from retail investors. Nobody's saying that the stock will never go up again. Nobody's saying that SpaceX will crash. You're missing the whole fucking point. And this is the problem that I have with people who love to invest. You're like degenerate fucking gamblers. It is an entirely rigged system. And this should not be allowed. And this is literally the middle class of America being fleeced by these tech billionaires who have been using circular money to inflate their net worth, not real money. They've been cheating. They've been rewriting the laws so that they can cash out on our backs. That's the point here. It doesn't fucking matter if you think the tech stock is going to go up or down 10 years from now. It does. If Elon Musk can mine asteroids in the future, great. It doesn't change the fact that this, one, should be criminal. Two, well, it is criminal, but they're not going to do shit about it. And that you're in here bootlicking for a handful of billionaires fleecing the American people. People's 401ks are going to crash. Yes, they recover, but it's just a weird, like, why are you that cucky? What if we just stopped doing this shit? What if we didn't let them become trillionaires on the backs of retail investors? Stop hyping Elon Musk. Pay attention to what we're saying here. It doesn't matter if he's successful or not. This is still wrong.
4%. Obviously, as you've already alluded to last week, there was a...
Okay, can you explain how this will happen? Okay, let's try one more time. There's a bunch of people that have stock in SpaceX. A lot of people's XAI and X stock converted to SpaceX today. They have you have the investors in X, for example, where they paid $40-something billion. It's worth like 20. They all lost their money. They've cut their investment in half. Their return on investment is cut in half. So Elon has a bunch of pissed off people, or a bunch of people who knew what he was going to do, and he needs to pay all these people back. And this includes all like his own investments and investments into other companies and companies investing in him. And there's all these billionaire tech people who have been sending money back and forth to each other as a way to look like they're generating revenue, but really they're just, when we say circular financing, they're just passing it back and forth. It's not even real money. It's just on paper they're exchanging money. And they've been doing this, inflating their stocks. But if your stock is inflated, you can't cash out for SpaceX, for example, because it's not public. So you have to go public to cash out your stocks. And when you go public, who's investing? The public. It's going to be these fund managers, people that are managing 401ks. And in a lot of people's 401ks, it automatically is going to put in the top 100 companies or the top 10 companies of the NASDAQ or the S&P. And because of this valuation, this insane valuation that makes no fucking sense, they will be one of the top 10 and top 100 companies. So they'll automatically get put in your 401k. So when your manager, who's managing probably not just yours, but all the other people in their 401ks, when they send all of that money in, they're buying stock from who? Right? The initial investors. And they cash out at an IPO of 170, 175, or a price, not IPO, excuse me, a price 170, 175, 180, whatever it might be. And then the stock is going to tank like 70 to 80% over the next year. And it may recover like Tesla did. It may regain that loss in the future. But the people who got in and inflated the value cashed out and they made their money, and the people that bought the stock and held on to it lose it. And yeah, maybe they'll recover. Maybe they'll be made even someday in the future. But why do we allow that to even happen? This is so on its face, obviously fraudulent.
Significant tech-related capital raise in that issuance by Google. Do you think those two things are directly linked? And do you think that any buyer of SpaceX on Friday will be selling some kind of comparable tech-related stock to buy it? Or is there money sitting on the sidelines ready to come in that can easily absorb the deal of this size?
Well, everyone says, the stats, there's about $8 trillion in money market funds.
I would rather invest my money in RTP. You won't lose it necessarily.
But a lot of that is corporate. So that's your Apples, a lot of that capital is corporate capital. And so the actual
Bob, God, you guys are going out of your way, Bob, to not understand this. Isn't that the point of buying stocks long term? Understand the pump and dump, but if you keep it long term, like you said, it might recover. They shouldn't do the pump and dump. The pump and dump should be illegal. And a lot of times they don't recover. A lot of times you have these IPOs and then the company crashes. It never recovers. This should be illegal. Why are you defending this? Why in the world should they be allowed to do this? Why did they get to rewrite the rules? Good Lord. Cucks for Capitalism is our next shirt. I'm going to send it to all of you. This is crazy. Well, I know that they're stealing and I know that this is a giant scam, but if I held on to it long enough, I might make my money back. There's a chance. So isn't that the point? No, the point is this is criminal. Our stock market's a fucking casino. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be this speculative. You shouldn't be allowed to just be like, in the future, we're going to be able to mine asteroids. Oh, okay. So that means we'll 200 times your revenue? Yeah, we're going to 200 times the revenue. And by the way, Elon Musk makes a fortune from this. He'll cash out some of his stocks too. I think he has a year before he can cash out.
Capital on the sidelines relative to this is not enough. And so if you look back the last 30, 40, 50 years, AOL Time Warner, RJR Nabisco, TXU, these were big kind of private equity deals that created a turn in the market. And right now we have some big private equity deals. We have big public IPOs. It's a colossal sucking sound of liquidity out of the market because there's only so much capital in the bond market and in the stock market. And when you have this kind of aggression of dumping of shares at very high valuations, the probability that this creates, kind of a crash, not at 87, but a serious hit to the market.
You talk about problems and never solutions, just like Ben Shapiro.
I've covered the solution. Ban stock market manipulation. Ban speculative trading, ban speculative IPO offerings. Create more strict rules. Create revenue limits. If you're going to do an IPO, then your revenue projections need to make sense. But everybody that sets the projections here is in on the game, so they don't care, and nobody thinks that SpaceX revenue is going to 200x. Nobody thinks that. They were allowed to create a valuation of 200x revenue, though. Set a standard. But more, get rid of circular financing. Get rid of stock manipulation. You can do all sorts of stuff. In fact, one of the things that I really like that Bernie Sanders talks about is taxing speculative trading. Tax it. Make sure that people that are doing speculative trading know that there's a risk. Make sure they know they're going to get taxed if there's a huge reward. Make it 8%, 10%, whatever you want to do. There's all sorts of things you could do. There's all sorts of regulation. This really what should happen is they shouldn't be allowed to go public. Not with this valuation. Not with the amount of circular financing. Not when everybody knows the fraud they're about to perpetrate on the American people. I love that, though. Are you saying, though, Bob, that I can't point out a problem unless I have the solution? Seems like you just want to complain. I don't like that my Lord and Savior Elon is being criticized here.
It is very high, very high. In all cycles, there is a peak moment of
6 months from now on today's episode of American Greed.
Hubris. And that's what we saw in 2008. CFOs, Chuck Prince, I'm going to stay on the dance floor until I have to stop dancing. And literally he said those words while his bank was crashing.
So as we wrap up, Larry, it's Monday, the 8th of June. This biggest IPO of all time is on Friday. I'm putting you on the spot here. Do you think they get it away successfully in the short term? And what do you think happens in the weeks that follow?
Well, just look at Jensen and Trump over the weekend. Trump is panicking because he really adores Elon Musk, right? And Jensen adores Elon. So they're both out over the weekend trying to pump up the market. Trump's
IPO is initial public offering. So it's the first time they're offering stock to the public. And some of the rules, Bob, that they changed for this, like the NASDAQ 100 rule shift, they shortened the seasoning requirements. So basically, any company on NASDAQ ranking in the top 40 by market cap, meaning you're taking their stock price, right? Anybody in the top 40 with at least 7 trading days on the exchange now is eligible. It used to be quarter. I think you had to wait 45 days. The FTSE Russell rule was changed, which gave a fast entry, allowing these IPOs to enter the Russell indexes after just 5 days. The S&P changed theirs from 12 months to 6 months, and then they pushed to waive the standard profitability requirement for massive companies. So you had standards of profitability requirements, but they just waived those for the SpaceX IPO. They're like, yeah, you could just make up a 200x multiple. You can just make that up. It's fine. They just changed all the rules for this. And then the SEC gave Wall Street basically control over their own markets. Like, you guys can just decide. You guys decide what you want to do. So it's all the people that are invested in this that are changing the rules so that they can cash out too.
promising to buy stakes in these AI companies. I mean, this is just, they're going to get this done, but they're nervous. And then the other ones coming, the OpenAI and Anthropic, are going to be in some trouble because a big fat guy just sat down at the dinner table, and the buffet is going to get a lot smaller, and it's going to get harder and harder to sell for more AI equities.
Really interesting.
All right. So we're going to see this with SpaceX. We're going to see it with OpenAI. We're going to see it with Anthropic. If I were you, I'd get out of these funds for a while, and I certainly wouldn't recommend investing. But I am not somebody you should take financial advice from. You need to throw that out there. Chip said 6 months. Oh, I got that one already. Any other ones? I didn't. Okay. Back to politics. Sorry, that was, we nerded out for a little bit, and I'm sure I lost a lot of you. So we'll get back to that. Go here. All right. I want to show you Carlos Jimenez. The No New Wars Party. That was one of the biggest lies we ever saw. We kidnapped a president in Venezuela. We killed people in Venezuela, then Iran, and now Cuba. Can anybody just point to some way that Cuba is a problem for us? Does anybody have any idea why people are afraid of Cuba? This is Carlos Jimenez. He's very worried about Cuba right now.
On Cuba, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was there this week meeting with troops at Guantanamo Bay. He's warning Havana about acquiring weapons, Congressman. Your district includes Key West, which sits less than 100 miles away from Cuba. You're also the only Cuban-born congressman. Your thoughts?
No, we know that they have already over 300 drones, and so we know some of.
Or they think we're going to get drone attacked by Cuba? This is so. Every day it's something corrupt. We're going to go take over Cuba next? What's going on here? MAGA, what's up with these No New Wars? Can you just. I mean, I know you don't care about, brown people. Are we really going to attack Cuba? Are we really afraid of Cuba? False flag drone attack from Cuba? Yeah, watch out for that. I'm with you, Guy Fawkes. We're so gross.
Those drones have a range of about 600 miles, which means all of the southeastern United States is actually now threatened by Cuba. Cuba has always been a national security threat to the United States.
When? Did I miss that? Did I miss that in school? We're afraid of Cuba now?
We have Russian and Chinese spy bases there. Iran is operating there.
We have Russian and Chinese spy bases all over the United States. We bombing Cuba for the 250th? Maybe. Nothing makes MAGA happier than bombing brown people. Yay. I don't even know if they're distraction wars. At this point, is it even a distraction war? Or are they just doing it because they want to? I feel like there's just a bunch of bloodthirsty Republicans who have wanted to go after anybody that was socialist or communist or said they were that, and they're finally getting their opportunity. Yeah, this president will bomb anybody.
I'm sure that Hezbollah is operating in Cuba. They are not our friend. And so what's happening there now is that the regime is collapsing.
I have no idea if that's true, if Hezbollah is operating in Cuba.
Economically, the people of Cuba are starting to rise up. President Trump has said that he's got his eye on Cuba, and once we finish with Iran, then he's going to turn his attention to Cuba. So hopefully the day of a free Cuba is close at hand.
All right.
Free Cuba. I wonder how free. I bet Cuba feels about as free as Venezuela and Iran right now. They just killing their leader doesn't make them free. Making them subjects to the United States doesn't make them free. Yeah, apparently Hezbollah's in Cuba. That's what they're saying now. I have no idea. But here he was. He's kind of upset. In the same interview earlier, he was upset that he doesn't get to go bomb Cuba yet because Donald Trump announced we have a deal with Iran done. Iran says no. That's, I think, the 37th time Trump has claimed we have a deal with Cuba. We don't. Or not Cuba, excuse me, Iran. We don't seem to have that. And now we're upset, and they're going to do what? They're just going to pretend like it's Iran that's saying, yeah, we have a deal, and then backing out, which is no evidence that that's the case. It might be 40 now. Okay, it was 37 last I checked.
Your thoughts on where we are in this war?
Don't know. I'm usually an optimist, and even though the president is very optimistic about it, the one thing that I'm not really crazy about is that I'm not hearing that Iran not having a nuclear weapon is the...
Why would MAGA care about skin color? That is a leftist thing. We protect ourselves from those that claim to harm you. People claim to harm you. No, you say that you don't care about skin color, and I believe that you don't think that, but you justify violence towards brown people. You will always justify it. You don't need evidence that they're going to harm you. Venezuela wasn't harming you. Cuba's not harming you. Iran isn't harming you. But you will justify murdering them. But who really harms us? Russia. Do we ever do anything to Russia? What about China? We ever do anything to China? No. We don't ever do that, do we? Are you confused by that, Bob? Go ahead and give me a time that either Cuba, Venezuela, or Iran attacked the homeland here. Just give me one example. Any of those countries. Just give me one example of them attacking us.
Number one thing, the first thing agreed to. I'm hearing more and more that that's subject to discussion a little bit later on, and that doesn't make me happy. I mean, I think Iran has another Lucy or two more in them, and what I mean Lucy is Charlie Brown and Lucy, hey, we're getting close, don't worry, kick the football, and then you yank the football at the end. And so I've been seeing this movie for 40
Okay, John, help me change my opinion then. Just give me one example of a time either Cuba, Venezuela, or Iran attacked the U.S. homeland.
7 years.
You too, Bob. Give me one example.
And until I see it in writing, I guess I'm going to be skeptical.
Well, I mean...
Right, and I don't think we should attack Russia or China either. See, Bob, see how that works? I don't think we should attack people that don't attack us.
Look, it's clear that the president does not want to have to go and, obliterate the country even more than the U.S. has already done. Your thoughts?
Right. Just a bunch of warm. I mean, if I was a Republican, I get why you would talk about like bombing people. Republicans fucking love bombing people. And none of your foreign policy is going well. None of your economic policy is going well. Literally nothing is going well for Republicans. So naturally they go back to their meat and potatoes, which is let's just tell them that it's all some other country's fault and we'll bomb them to fix it. Bob, I asked for an example. Bob, you have to give me an example. You can't just repeat all of my questions back to me or I'll get rid of you today. Give me one example. I said, Bob, the reason I brought up China and Russia is that was for a different comment about bombing brown people. That's why I brought up China and Russia to say, like, because the person said, well, those people spy on us. Okay, well, so does China and Russia. Why don't we bomb them? Right? I don't think we should bomb anybody. I think that that's stupid. I think that it's evil. And I think that Republican policy, foreign policy is almost always evil and murderous. But are you going to give me one example? And any of you guys can. Let's see. China didn't have actual spy balloons over the U.S. a few years back? No, that wasn't real. We got attacked by a delicious Cuban sandwich. Oh, maybe I'll have a Cuban today. There's a good place down the street that has Cubans. Do you guys have one? Bob, I don't care. Shut up. You don't answer any questions. You're the most frustrating human being to talk to. Every time you ask, I asked you a question, like if they're a threat, what's the threat? All right. Let's go here. Chris Wright testified before Congress. Chris Wright's the energy secretary. Didn't go well. This Congressman, I think it's Amo. And Chris Wright got really upset here, which I like to see. You're starting to see the cracks form, especially when it comes to energy. The biggest fuck up by this administration so far on energy is obviously the war in Iran. But maybe the second biggest fuck up was cutting all the subsidies for renewable energy. And now we are further away from being energy independent than we were when Trump took over. And energy is getting more expensive, and energy that is easy and cheap to produce and is less expensive per kilowatt hour, we're not making anymore. In fact, I'll show you some more videos later. We're back to attacking wind.
Rapidly drive down prices, and we will make America affordable again. We're going to get your energy prices down by 50%. Secretary Wright, has Donald Trump fulfilled his promise?
He sets ambitious targets, and he is all in on driving in that direction. And the number of
everything got more expensive. Did he do it? He set ambitious targets. We're not even driving in the right direction. We're going in the opposite direction. It's getting more expensive. How could you say that's the right direction?
structural changes he's made in how we view energy and what we're doing will absolutely over time deliver that goal.
Okay, so the answer is no.
Not yet.
And you know, well, you can waffle all you want, but the American people know the truth. They can feel it in their wallet every time they fill up at the gas pump, every time their energy bills come in the mail. Look, Rhode Islanders, the people I work for, have spent an additional $288 on heating oil and an extra $350 at the gas pump since Trump launched his war of choice with Iran. And I know this might sound strange to someone who has made tens of millions of dollars in oil and gas, but my constituents cannot afford $638 of a Trump surcharge to heat their homes and to drive their cars. So, Secretary.
What did you say, Jonathan? You answered my question of who attacked us. You just put it in there again. I'm not going to scroll all the way back. I'll look for it this time. Just reminding guys, we are crowdfunded, and I know I bored the shit out of you with the IPO earlier, so I apologize for that. I'll try and make the rest of the show more entertaining. But this is how we keep the lights on. I'll update the gift goal here in a minute, but you can help us out knocking that gift goal out through Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal, as well as Super Chats. And it is Friday, last day of the week, and I don't want to end the weekend with a beating from Jen, but I'll happily take one for all of you. All right, continuing on here with Representative Amo. This is where the crash out happens, I believe.
DOE over their partisan award terminations. And in the litigation, you said, quote, a primary reason for the selection of which DOE grant termination decisions were included in the October 2025 notice tranche was whether the grantee was located in a blue state. That is a direct quote. I ask unanimous consent to enter this document into the record.
So ordered.
The court rightfully found that you violated the Constitution. The only meaningful difference between the 7 projects that won in court and the hundreds of others you terminated is that those plaintiffs sued. So, Secretary Wright, my question is simple. When will you restore the funding for all the projects that were wrongfully terminated?
So, number one, you even read the document or misinterpreted the document. We did not involve politics in the decision-making of our review process. Hands down.
Explain 95%, Secretary.
Did not. You also were creative. You talked about 2 different 95%. We did not involve politics in the decisions. What
about the outcomes, Mr. Secretary?
The court ruling you read was a choice of announcements of some of the awards. The choice of the announcements, not made by our department. No decisions were made on politics. I keep hearing that charge. So it's bullshit. We're going to say it a million times.
Mr. Secretary,
it's not true.
I've got a point of parliamentary procedure.
You guys want to tell me, just out of curiosity, why you think it's a good idea to cut renewable energy subsidies, give subsidies for instead of for like coal, for natural gas, for oil, and then only announce those ones? And every time these subsidies, which were approved for renewable energy, every time they're not granted by the administration. Every time it goes to court, I guess, they lose. You guys want to explain this energy policy to me? Why do you want more expensive energy? Bob, I'll ask you that one. Here's another direct question, Bob. Why would we have an administration focused on making energy more expensive? Now, they say that they're not, but obviously it's getting more expensive. Why do you think that is? Could it possibly be the millions of dollars that the oil industry pumps into their campaigns? More reliable energy? Oh, so you want more, what do you mean more reliable? What does that mean? How's it more reliable? I have solar at my house. It's very reliable. Why is oil and gas more reliable? Where do subsidies come from? It comes from us. Yeah, that's right. So why are we subsidizing oil companies when all they do is raise our prices? Why wouldn't we subsidize cheaper energy everywhere we can? Why wouldn't we subsidize wind and solar? It's cheaper. Come on, guys. I listen. How come you guys go every time I stop the show? Every time you guys go real quiet. Tony, thank you. That was an orange clown shit taco. Orange clown shit taco. Thank you. The whales. Yeah, it is the whales. They do care a lot about the whales. It's fucking Free Willy over here. We gotta save the whales. That's also not true. Any of you? God, you all went quiet at the same time? Are you just waiting for me to move on here so you can do bumper sticker slogans again? I'll wait. They can't make as much money off wind. Well, oil companies can make zero off of wind, right? Yeah. Obviously, oil is more reliable because the sun doesn't shine at night and sometimes the wind doesn't blow. Yeah. Have you heard of a battery? You ever heard of that? It's cool. So, like, when I have solar panels, they're hooked to a battery. When the sun shines on the solar panel, it stores that energy in a battery. And then you can use that battery at nighttime. Same with windmills. And you know where you don't put windmills? Places where the wind doesn't blow. But in places where the wind blows often and regularly, we should have lots of fucking windmills. Why? Because it's really cheap energy and it's renewable. Same with sunshine. So why wouldn't we do as much solar and wind as we possibly can and fill in the rest of the gaps with oil? Bob, nobody's saying, stupid, Bob. It's stupid. Nobody's advocating getting rid of oil altogether. Nobody's advocating for that. The Democrat position, the Biden administration position, was to get as much renewable energy as possible because it's cheaper and it's cleaner. They also drilled more oil than any other administration before them. Why would you not want the most amount of cheap, renewable, clean energy as possible and then fill in the gaps? Okay, I think it's great, but it's going to have to be a slow rollout. No, it's not going to have to be a slow rollout. You build it into the grid as fast as you possibly can. But Trump is doing the opposite. He's canceling projects for wind and solar. Right? I appreciate you answering the question. That's good, Bob. Thank you. I appreciate you doing that. What about windmill cancer? That's a good point. I forgot about windmill cancer. I mean, China's, why is China so, like, they're dumb? They're investing heavily in renewable energy. They're just dumb. Nobody is stopping you from buying wind and solar. Yeah, I'm not surprised that you don't understand this. The government is killing the projects. So yes, they are stopping you from buying wind and solar. All over this country, they are stopping people from having access to wind and solar. Yes, they are. That's a dumb thing to say, though. It's a dumb argument. Shouldn't our government do the smart thing and invest in renewable energy? Trump knows what he's doing, for sure. That's what it is. Oh, my God. Wind turbines. Sorry. It's a turbine. I apologize. Not only are they way ahead of us, Bob, but every time Republicans get in power, they set us backwards. Why do Republicans keep taking us backwards on energy? Every other country in the world is investing in renewable energy, not us. You know what's different about our country? Lobbyists. Crony capitalism. But you also have to think about the imminent World War III. We will need tons of oil. Maybe we just stop bombing people so we don't have World War III. It seems to be us that's causing the imminent World War III. Isn't that a self-sustaining prophecy there, Bob? We just keep fucking things up. We need oil for the war that we're about to start. Let's maybe not start a war. Why don't I move to China? I like it here. I'll fix your country. You can just sit there and be stupid. You can just jack off to pictures of Donald Trump. We'll fix it for you. You just be quiet. Pick your nose a little bit. All right. Then here was Chris Wright. Just wait, did I finish? Oh, we didn't finish this one. No, sorry.
Are we permitting language like that from witnesses?
He said bullshit.
Watch your language here, Mr.
I think, for the record, I think you should be able to swear in Congress. I wish they would take that rule away. I think you should be able to say whatever the fuck you want.
Secretary, but let's keep this.
Will do, sir.
Please.
Mr. Secretary, here's the problem with your administration. You're willing to huff and puff when it comes to showing up in front of Congress when your audience of one is paying attention. But the fact
great question, Derek. Derek Stepp. I hate lobbyists, but what is the ROI on a wind turbine? Well, I don't know what you mean by ROI. If the government is subsidizing it, because our government doesn't take a financial stake in these companies, right? Normally, we're starting to. But like what's the ROI on gas? Oil. We don't get an ROI on that, right? The oil companies do. But we subsidize them. So what's our ROI on that? I would argue that the ROI would be the return on the investment of like our investment, the people with taxpayer money. Well, what have we got for our ROI on oil? Prices that go up every single year. If we invested our money in solar and wind and hydro, we would have to spend less money to generate more energy. You can look at the cost per kilowatt hour. If you look at the types of energy sorted by cost per kilowatt hour, you can look at this. That's the right one, yeah. Onshore wind, the cost per kilowatt hour, this is megawatt hour, excuse me. I was like, that's too high. Onshore wind, 24 to 75. Solar, 24 to 96. Gas, this is gas and steam turbines, 39 to 101. Onshore wind plus storage, 42 to 114. Solar PV plus storage, 46 to 102. Geothermal, 61 to 102. Coal, very expensive, 68 to 166. Offshore wind, 72 to 140. Gas peaking, which is quick response gas turbines, 115 to 221. Nuclear, 141 to 221. So wouldn't we want to do the most of this that we possibly can? The onshore wind and solar? Because that would make your energy prices less, right? So if we're talking about ROI in terms of like what the taxpayer is paying, the ROI is going to be much better on onshore wind and solar. Does that answer that?
Fact of the matter is, my constituents and the constituents of people across this Congress are struggling because of your decisions, and yet you want to use language like that, act out of hand, behave poorly, so you can prove that you have loyalty to the president. That's not how this works. Do your job. Do your job and work to lower costs for the American people. Instead, you want to pick at statistics instead of working for people in every single state, whether it's a blue state or a red state. So my question for you, as my time is rapidly expiring, when will you restore these grants?
We work every day we've gone overboard for New England, for California, for blue states.
That's not an answer. I'm reclaiming my time.
Your assertions
Mr. Secretary,
are incorrect.
I'm reclaiming my time. That's not an answer.
The amount of wind projects that have been canceled in New England is astronomical. It's one of the places where they had tons of deals that were funded. They've cut all the funding for that.
Do you believe the federal grant decision should be based in any way on how a state's voters cast their ballots in a presidential election?
They shouldn't, and they weren't.
Mr. Secretary, this hearing started with Trump's promise to lower energy costs. Instead, you've bloviated.
All right. Brett said, for another great, albeit depressing week of content, may I suggest Mountainhead for the next movie night? It's about tech billionaires on a retreat who use their AI to sow disinformation to try and coup countries. Yes, Brett. And you should DM me next time we talk about it. We'll add it to the list. Thomas said, keep trying to inform maggots. Also, Professor Dave Explains has a video on Russ Vote you should check out off stream at least. Thomas, I would love it if you sent me that too. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen Professor Dave in a long time. Scott said, can you restrict your super chat less? It won't let me say anything. I don't know, to be honest. Jen, do we restrict what can be said on the super chat? Do we have any control over that? I have no idea. Jen would know.
No, we have no control over that.
Oh, sorry. But I'll if you do PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, I'll read whatever. I'm a potato with legs says, how about we invest the money that they are putting into stupid damn data centers into solar and wind? How about that? Or how about if you're going to do a data center, you should have to use renewable energy to power it? How about that? Do it that way. That's not going to hurt anybody. There's no supply and demand issues there. I think that's a good idea. Can't say anything either. Yeah, well, blame Google for that. All right. I think I got through those. Okay, this was the last one. This was Congressman Menifee. This one just made me laugh because I would hate, it would suck to be a Republican where you have to deny climate change and you don't have any science to back it up, but you have to do it because you're owned by the oil lobbyists who just hand you talking points. This is another example of a Republican trying to deny climate science and it not going well.
From last year when you testified before the House Committee on Appropriations saying the DOE Secretary lied to Congress, House Dems allege. I know that you've accused multiple members of this committee of being untruthful, so I want to make sure today that we're dealing in facts when we have this conversation. Do you remember in 2025 making a statement saying you hear all the time in the news that tornadoes are getting worse and hurricanes are worse and floods and droughts and storms, they're more frequent and larger in magnitude, but that is simply untrue. Did you say that, Mr. Secretary?
I'm sure I did.
Okay, and so it's your argument that hurricanes and floods in this country and across the globe are not getting worse.
That's correct. That's what the data shows.
I looked for this data. And I'll ask Maggot here too, because I couldn't find it. Is there anything you can show me that says the severity and magnitude of weather events like tornadoes and hurricanes are not getting worse? Does anybody have a study on that? I'm gonna guess it's got to be some like sponsored study. He's gonna in a second here say that every other study is biased, but he's not citing one here. I was wondering if you guys knew one. I couldn't find one. Shaking my head. Climate change lobbyists are no different than the oil lobby. Oh, they're not? Where do climate change lobbyists? First of all, name the climate change lobbyists, and then tell me what their profits look like. I don't remember ever going to war for solar panels. I don't remember a 20-year war in the Middle East for wind turbines. I don't remember kidnapping a South American president to force them to sell us solar panels. Do you? Maybe I forgot. Maybe was the Vietnam War, was that about solar panels? Maybe the Korean War was. War of 1812. Which war did we fight over renewable energy? Can't remember. I finally said wind turbines. Thank you. Greta the check. Didn't we invade Iraq to get their windmills? We did. They had windmills of mass destruction. They were killing all the birds. Oh, I forgot about the Boston Solar Party. That's right. I forgot. But we wanted oil then too. We dumped the solar panels into the Boston Harbor. Revolutionary War had airports. That's a good point. I forgot about that. We rammed the ramparts also. The Star Wars was about oil. Forgot about that. You can't cool things in a vacuum? Cool. No? Okay. So yeah, maybe the oil lobbyists are worse, right? Maybe polluted air is worse than clean air, right? Let's not compare the lobbyists for renewable energy.
But study after study has shown that human-caused ocean warming has intensified all 11 Atlantic hurricanes in 2024. Climate change made Hurricane Milton hit as a Category 3 instead of a Category 2. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I can walk you through where we've had 500-year storm after storm after storm in the past 7 years.
Mama Rar, I found tons of studies. I just couldn't find a study that confirmed what what Chris Wright is saying here, that the severity of destructive storms like tornadoes and hurricanes had not increased. Everything I saw said that the severity has increased.
As the Secretary of Energy, you're telling me today that you don't believe that hurricanes and floods are getting worse in this country.
They just simply aren't. I published that data and stuff written by me. It's in the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports. Look at the U.S. hurricane data. We have 125 years of data, no increase in hurricanes, no increase in the average intensity of hurricanes. What you're talking about is these attribution studies, which are just non-scientific.
I couldn't find this. So I can see that under Trump's NOAA this year that they said they predict a 35% chance of a near normal season, 10% chance of an above normal season, and a 55% chance of below normal season. I think this is what he was referencing. I can't find anything in I'm here at the NOAA. I haven't found anything that says that, let's see. Let me look here, see if I can find one. Did I try the Wayback Machine? Here's Climate Allegiance. Who the hell's Climate Allegiance? Oh, it's a .com. Good. Sorry, I'll show you what I'm looking at here. See if they have sources. This might be what he's citing. This is global hurricane frequency according to this one person. Is it everybody? These are all just articles. It's not data. Where are they getting this data from? 12 months running, some at Ryan Ma. Is this just a dude on like Twitter? This is they say it's from a peer-reviewed paper. This doesn't look like it's coming from the NOAA. Oh, the Heartland Institute. Oh. Yeah, it's the Heartland Institute for sure. That's not just big oil. I honestly can't find one. I can't find the study that he's referencing. You guys have one? He did say it was written by him. I think he meant like the memo. I mean, here's a .org, hurricanesandclimatechange.org. Climate change is worsening impacts in the United States by increasing the intensity and decreasing speed at which they travel. Scientists are currently uncertain whether there will be a change in the number of hurricanes, but they are certain that the intensity and severity of hurricanes will continue to increase. Where are they pulling this data from? The number of major hurricanes has increased while the number of smaller hurricanes has decreased. Okay, so that's backing up what they're saying. Where are they getting this from? PNAS.org. This is a study instead of a bunch of articles. What is this here? This is a comparison of complementary cumulative distribution functions to the global intensity. Estimates between 1979 to 2017. Yeah, I mean, the data, it looks like anybody with data says that they're increasing, and anybody who's writing an article says otherwise. By the way, Chris Wright was a lobbyist for the energy sector.
Things that could happen. Yes,
I want to extend a personal invite to you to come down to Houston, Texas, and to tell the families of the folks who are victims of Hurricane Harvey and the other major storms where flooding hit Houston in a way that it never hit it before.
Did I ever hear God used a flood to wipe out wickedness. Yeah, I did hear that. It was in your book. If that's true, your God is a fucking psychopath. What a crazy person. If you don't believe in me, I'm going to drown a bunch of children. How many children do you think he murdered for not believing in him? Or I guess for their parents not believing him in. Your God sounds like a fucking lunatic. Oh, you said just the wicked, but it was just Noah and his family. So everybody, so it was wicked children too? Or did the children float during the flood and then they came and scooped them up later? Your God's a psycho, dude. You need a better God. It sounds vindictive to me. All right. We'll move on from them. This was interesting to me. We talked about this the other day about the Butler assassination attempt. This was just a clip that I ran across from Mario Nawfal. He had on Tucker Carlson, and the reason I showed Tucker Carlson in this instance is Tucker Carlson is very well sourced inside the administration. He's very well sourced with Republicans. So if we're talking about things that are coming from this administration or Republican adjacent, like Tucker Carlson's probably somebody who you can at least assume has the source. Now, you can decide whether or not what he's saying here is true, but this is a pretty wild accusation about the assassination attempt in Butler.
I know that about Butler. I know that Trump shut down the investigation into Butler. That is a fact. Dan Bongino told me that when he worked at the FBI. And Dan Bongino himself was terrified when I spoke to him in December. It's such a long, boring story, but basically I came into possession, I beg your pardon, accidentally came into possession of a lot of the social media posts that we were told didn't exist.
I do remember that. That part's true. He had a whole special on showing Thomas Crook's social media presence, which, again, the government refused to admit existed, and Tucker exposed it, and they just kind of went along with their day.
Were posted by Thomas Crooks in the months and years before the shooting. And I was amazed that the FBI had lied about this. So I called Kash Patel, and I later called Dan Bongino, and I says, what is this? I'm not attacking you. It was the previous FBI administration that did this. It was Chris Wray, but what is this? And Dan Bongino became hysterical with me on the phone. I've known Dan a long time, for many years, and always gotten along with him, whatever his faults, nice guy, certainly very nice to me. I never had a problem with Dan, ever. And that problem began when I brought this information to his attention, and he became a different person. He was clearly terrified. I didn't get it at first, but he was hysterical. And ultimately, after a long series of text exchanges, which I still have, and phone conversations, he said, look, take it up with Trump. He's the one who shut down the investigation. And that was, I think, the first or second week of December. I think it was the beginning of the second week of December. I have it written down. But that was the moment and I realized, oh, wow, there's no good explanation for shutting down an investigation into your own attempted murder. Like, this is not what we've been told it was.
I mean, all of these investigations were supposed to be radical leftists. They said they were going to investigate them. They would get to the bottom of them. They talked about creating like task force to shut down the violent left, and then they didn't investigate any of these things. Weird, right? Scott said, just for being a dumb bitch. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. I always love being called a dumb bitch. Makes me feel like I'm part of the chat. Okay, Morning Joe had an interesting clip too. They interviewed a bunch of Trump supporters, including this one, who was a 3-time Trump voter at Selmer, which now is closing, impacting 150 workers. We've seen a collapse of manufacturing jobs, which Trump was supposed to bring back with the tariffs. Do you guys know? Maybe I just don't know. When are those jobs coming back? I mean, do we have a date yet? Hey, May, by the way, I have a question for you while we're waiting for that. Can you let me know when those jobs just come back? May, do you believe that God is all powerful? The God that you believe in, he's all powerful and he's in control of everything? Just out of curiosity. In 2 weeks? Okay, 2 weeks. We'll be there quickly. I didn't ask if he created the Big Bang, May. I asked if you believe he's all powerful. Good Lord. This is why people get frustrated with you. Not everything, like, just answer the question that you're asked. It's not a fucking riddle. Do you think God is all powerful and can control everything? May, stay here. I'm just asking May. I appreciate some of you saying God is all powerful. Thank you. I'm just asking May. May's making some weird claims here. And she's by the way, it was a good question. Whoever asked May the question of, I think it was Casey, asked how no, it was just Noah and his family, and then they repopulated the earth. I don't know how they did that. It sounds like incest to me, May. But do you have an answer for that? May, come back. Don't do this thing. Christ is king. Get rid of Dom for Doom. I don't like when people say Christ is king. It's just a white nationalist dog whistle. We don't need you here. It's stupid. Jesus wasn't a king. Dumb. We don't have kings here either. All right. Well, if May doesn't respond to me when she does respond, if she gets back into it without responding to me, Casey, you can do whatever you want. All right. Anyways, back to this 3-time Trump voter who now has lost their job at the Eastlake manufacturing plant, Kahn and Selmer.
In Eastlake, which is near Cleveland. The plant's billionaire owner, John Paulson, a close ally of President Trump, is sending all those jobs to China. Annette Dombrowski is a 3-time Trump voter and a janitor at that Eastlake plant. At the end of this month, she will now be out of a job. MS Now reporter Alex Tabbitt sat down with her at her home last week, asked her about being laid off and whether she thinks President Trump understands what she is going through.
Rochelle says, a $10 train for being that bitch. Thank you, Rochelle.
I actually have panic attacks. I've had a couple this past week. And I get very emotional over it. I don't want to work anymore, but I can't afford to retire.
Obviously, President Trump is immensely wealthy, has been wealthy since he was born.
Yep.
Do you think he understands?
Go ahead and mute May for the rest of the live. Sorry, May. You can't, if you're going to answer my question, or not going to answer my questions, you don't get to stay here. Sorry.
No. He hasn't lived it to understand it. He sees it, he has not lived it. He needs to live it. Wear the clothes, wear the shoes, wear your Walmart clothes, wear your Walmart shoes. Do your thrift store shopping. Don't eat
It's weird that a cabinet entirely made up of billionaires and millionaires don't seem to have a pulse on what it's like being a middle-class American. Weird how they keep saying shit like we're for everybody, but all their decisions seem to just hurt middle-class America.
Steaks. I don't get to go out to dinner. It's not an overnight thing, but it's been 2 years now. You said you'd bring down the grocery prices. Literally, I must be the most angry person when I grocery shop because I buy the same things every week and I see it jump every week. It is not every couple months. It's literally every week.
Alex also spoke with another 3-time Trump voter, a man named Chris Tackett, a trucker from Ohio, who said he's fed up with the president's broken promises.
You're saying Trump's out of touch? Yeah, I am. I know. It's a stretch. I'm being spicy today.
When President Trump said he wasn't going to start foreign wars, when he said he was going to bring down prices, did you believe him?
Yeah. I mean, his first term, I think he held true to everything that he said he was going to do. I think he fought for everything he said he was going to fight for.
That's actually pretty crazy to say because he didn't do everything he said he was going to do. He was going to drain the swamp. He was going to lock her up. He was going to build a wall. He did mostly none of what he promised he was going to do. It's wild to watch people just rewrite history. Maybe they forgot. I don't remember his campaign promise saying, I'm going to cut taxes for rich people, stagnate the economy, and then fuck up the response to COVID. I don't remember that being his promise, but that was the legacy. And then when I lose, I'm going to stage an insurrection.
I'm around, I haven't seen it. He's backtracked on every single pitch point he had during his election, he's backtracking on. All we heard was drill, drill, drill during the election, and now all we're getting is drilled into the dirt with these prices.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm not a fan of him. I voted for Trump all 3 terms. To be honest with you, I'm not a big supporter of him at this point.
Real quick, Tracy, I appreciate you being here. We're talking about Republicans right now because they're in charge. If your response to a criticism of the Republicans is what have Democrats done, then you're too stupid to be here. This isn't a place for you. You should engage with what's going on. You should worry about what's happening right now instead of playing the dumb fucking blame game. Don't do that. I'm in a bad mood. I'm in a bad mood a little bit today. I'm tired of like the same dumb shit every day. It's crazy that you're a real human being and that's your response. Like everybody's grocery prices are going up. We're for some reason we're at war with Iran. Things aren't going well, and you thought today the response to people not being able to pay their bills and then that woman losing her job is what have Democrats done? That's a little pathetic. There's dumber places you could go, and I would recommend either going there or trying to talk about what we're talking about today.
If you could talk directly to President Trump, what would you tell him right now?
Get it together, man. The average American is struggling to make ends meet right now. And nobody wants to hear the war's almost over. Nobody wants to hear it's going to get better. You've had a year to make it better at this point. Make it better.
Okay, well, Trump's got you. Trump, he must have heard that, and he's got a message. Here's the message Trump decided to come up with yesterday.
$1 trillion now, trillion. He's done a great job. He's a smart guy.
Mr. Today's another example of you bringing these everyday Americans into the White House and listening to them.
Yeah.
How important is it for you to listen to everyday Americans when
Very
it comes to
important.
policy making on a
These
daily
people
basis?
built the country.
Trump support people that voted for him. He's not listening to us. Bringing people, he didn't listen to a word any of these people said. They're not saying anything. They're just standing there as props. It's very important that I listen to them. Well, if you were listening to the country, you'd pull us out of Iran. That's what the country wants. What do you think? What policy does he is he executing that is popular? I don't think there's any. I don't think any. He's underwater with approval on literally everything.
Not the complainers. The complainers didn't build the country. These people built the country, whether it's fishermen or farmers or anything else.
I would say that historically speaking, it is the complainers. It's the people who saw things that needed change that built the country. I think that's like critical thinkers built the country. People that sit around and just say everything's wonderful, they don't build the country. They're just cheerleaders.
Me, guys like me.
Oh,
they
Trump!
built the
Trump built the country, guys.
You know, I watch all these ingrates. They're always complaining. They didn't build anything.
I built the country, and everybody's ungrateful. That's a real thing. Our president just said. This guy said, "I built the country," and that everybody who complains is just ungrateful for people like him who built this country. Donald Trump built this country. All right.
They couldn't build anything. Look at what's happened in Minnesota, Somalia. All these people came in for Somalia. They ripped off our system.
Here comes the sundowning.
You have the woman.
Why are we talking about Somalia all of a sudden? What? How did that happen? How did that transition just happen? Everybody's complaining. I built the country, Somalia. This guy can it's all he thinks about is just, and for whatever you want to say, like he's just a old senile racist. He's a bigot. How come nobody's asking him about Somalia? Nobody's asking about Minnesota. Nobody ever asks him about trans people. Every fucking time he opens his mouth, he's going after Somalians and trans people. He's just a bigot, and he's so old and senile at this point that's all his mind can ever like talk about. He had an opportunity here to talk about what these people were saying and how important it was to listen to them and maybe what they were talking about. Instead, this hateful bigot is going to go trash Somalians and then link Ilhan Omar to something. I don't even know what the fuck why are you guys mad at Ilhan Omar, by the way? How come you're always talking about Ilhan Omar? What did she do? Why are you guys obsessed with her?
Who married Her brother, she came in and married her brother. Isn't that
No evidence of that.
wonderful? And then she talks about the Constitution of the United States. She comes from Somalia. They don't have constitutions in Somalia. They don't have police. They don't have it. All they have is people that run around shooting each other. And then she comes and tells us how to run our country.
You, all she talks about is the Constitution. Okay, that's good. She's in Congress. Somalia, I bet Somalia has a constitution. Let's see. Did somebody Google, does Somalia have police? Yeah, there's a 2012 constitution right here. Like, none of this is true. This is just hateful bigotry. They don't have a constitution. They don't have a country. They don't have a government. They don't have police. And then she came here and tried to tell us what to do. That's a real look into the mind of how he views immigrants, especially non-white immigrants. Remember, he held a press conference when he brought in South African immigrants. They were great. I won't hear from anybody that he's not just an old racist bigot. All of this is bigotry. All of it. It's totally true. Google, Roger. You have to Google whether or not Somalia. Look, I can show it to you. There's a Constitution of Somalia. So was he right about that? Does Somalia have police? Let's see if I can find pictures of their police. It's called the Somali Police Force, or the SPF. It was established in 1960. It operates as the country's primary federal law enforcement agency. So I'm lying. He's right. And that shows how bigoted you are. You just heard him say this, and you're also a racist. And so you're like, yeah, that's probably true. That's why I hate them so much.
I don't like it. These people don't like it. I can tell you. I think I can speak for you. Yeah. She comes in, Ilhan Omar. She comes in. She tells us how to run the United States of America. And she comes from a place without anything, probably among the worst countries in the world. And she says, the Constitution of the United States protects me.
It does. Why is he mocking that? That's what it's supposed to do. Roger, shut the fuck up. Roger, you got to be quiet for a while. You just said that Somalia doesn't have a constitution or police. You don't get to, your opinions don't matter anymore. You don't get to even have them. Mods, you can do whatever you want with Roger. Fuck with him the rest of the day. You don't get to do that. You got to just, unless you say sorry. Your next comment can be, I'm sorry. Somalia does have a constitution and they do have police, or we're not going to listen to you anymore.
She shouldn't be protected.
All I do is label people? Yeah, for sure, dude.
She honestly, she should be thrown out of the country. She's corrupt. And
what's she corrupt at? Help me out here. I'll give you a chance, Roger. What I think, you say I label people, I'm going to label you. I'm going to label you a dipshit who doesn't know, who can't prove anything that they say. Now, can you tell me what Ilhan Omar has done that is corrupt, that you have evidence of? Because the other two things you already said, that like there was no constitution in Somalia and that they didn't have police, you were wrong on those, but we'll give you one more chance. I don't want to label you incorrectly, but right now it seems like you're just a dipshit. So let's see if we can dispel me of that assumption. I would love to be wrong.
Most of the people that came in are corrupt, and the whole voting system is corrupt in Minnesota. I won Minnesota.
Any evidence of that? Any of you guys are welcome to provide evidence for any of his claims.
3 times, easily. I won almost every county, but they didn't give it to me. It's a corrupt system, very corrupt state. The governor is terrible. The attorney general is terrible. They're all very corrupt people. Yeah.
Remember, he was asked how important it was to listen to everyday Americans. That was the question he was asked. Noble Steed, provide evidence that Omar married her brother, or you get muted. You have 3 minutes to provide a link. Thank you. I can label you a dipshit because I have the bully pulpit. Yes, but I actually share this pulpit as well. If anybody wants to come up and challenge anything I have to say, you can message GenDub1, JENNDUBB1, on Discord, and she can bring you up. You can use your own voice here, and I'll give you the bully pulpit, and you can bully me and expose how wrong I am about these things. Been a long time since one of you guys had the courage, but it would be nice to see one of you guys up here. Just one of these times. Did I miss any of those? Damn, time is flying. Got an hour left. Whew, maybe an hour 15 left. All right. Jen's reminding me we're way off on the gift goal. That's my bad. We are crowdfunded here. We rely on your generosity each and every day in order for us to keep the lights on. If you can help us knock out that gift goal, it's a Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chats. I'll read anything that you write. And we got about an hour left to knock that out. I'll update it here in just a second. Then we had Doug Burgum, who we could have tied this in earlier, but I once again want to show the obvious corruption of an administration who is making an absolute fortune off of oil. They're obviously insider trading, and you have a bunch of oil lobbyists up here. And Doug Burgum's going to say a bunch of shit that I can't find any evidence for.
Well, I want to say, first of all, absolutely positively, the construction of these wind towers have an effect on fisheries. We've had multiple roundtables between NOAA, which is part of Commerce, and Interior, which manages all of the offshore leasing. So plenty of evidence that destroys fishery. Number two is marine mammals, which Howard has in NOAA. It's affected. We've had more whales wash up on shore during the construction of these offshore things. So it's not.
Okay, let's look this up. I'm going to do a new one here. How many whales have washed up on shore in the United States due to wind turbine construction? Can you guys think of an example of that? Trump once, during the campaign, Trump said that it had happened 3 times in North Carolina and it happened 0. Okay. I'm being told 0 whales have been confirmed to have died due to wind turbine construction in the United States. 6 dead whales washed ashore in New Jersey in January 2023. Some activists blamed turbine sound. That's it. NOAA, who he just cited NOAA right here, didn't he?
Commerce and Interior, which manages all of the offshore leasing. So plenty of evidence that destroys fishery. Number two is marine mammals, which Howard has in NOAA. It's affected. We've had more whales wash up on shore during the construction of these offshore things. So it's not.
Okay, this is from the Energy Department. Let's see. That's NOAA and the Department of Energy here. This is energy.gov. Following recent stranded whales along the East Coast, claims were made that linked the mortalities to survey activities being conducted prior to the construction of wind energy projects, sometimes referred to as offshore wind farms. As of now, there is no evidence to support speculation that noise resulting from wind development-related site characterization surveys could potentially cause mortality of whales, and no specific link between recent large whale mortalities and currently ongoing surveys. This is from BOEM and NOAA. So what he's citing is directly contrary to what the energy.gov says, which would be Chris Wright's department. Why do you let them lie to you? You should stop doing that.
It's not great for marine life, not great for fisheries. We also have the report from Secretary Pete Hegseth, which conclusively, this is a national security.
A report from Secretary Pete Hegseth. Got it. Listen, this is my favorite one. This is why we also can't have wind farms.
Which conclusively, this is a national security threat, and we should understand this was thrown out by the Democrats and said, no, it's not. It can't be a national security. They're just making it up. Other countries, including Sweden, have canceled offshore wind projects because of national security issues. And all you have to do is pay attention to the way the wars are being fought today. It's autonomous on autonomous. A lot of it low altitude. These wind towers that President Trump has worked to try to stop. The towers themselves can be 600 feet. The blades are 250 on top of that. You could launch an attack on the U.S. in the Northeast, in our most populous area, with a bunch of autonomous drones coming through a wind tower field, which cover thousands, if not tens of thousands of miles. That level of attack would.
Tens of thousands of miles? Where do we have a wind farm that is tens of thousands of miles? I have no idea. Okay, so I went and I looked this up. What Pete Hegseth said is that Sweden canceled some projects. I can't remember exactly where it was. They were offshore wind projects because they were worried about Russia and they were worried about war, and they didn't like. There was this narrow-ish strait that they had a wind project, and they said we need to keep that clear for national security concerns in case we go to war with Russia. That's what he's citing when he says even Sweden did it for national security concerns. It's because they needed to keep that area clear. It's in the Baltic, yeah, but there was like some specific area where they're building it. I can't remember exactly where it was, but they needed the Navy ships to be able to move through there more freely, so they canceled it. So we can't have wind energy because let's walk through this. He said autonomous drones can fly through undetected because the radar won't pick them up. What about before they got to the wind farm? What about as they crossed the Atlantic, or if they take off from a ship? Did they just appear inside of the wind farm? How did they get there? This is nonsense. This is an oil lobbyist, Doug Burgum. This is a guy killing renewable energy, cheap energy for the oil companies, and it with a straight fucking face stands in front of cameras. And this is the guy that kept saying you can't do solar and wind because sometimes the wind doesn't blow and sometimes the sun doesn't shine. And he said it like 50 fucking times in Congress last week. And every member of Congress was like, do you still not know about batteries? Do they still not tell you about batteries? And he would just ignore it. This administration's crazy. They just sit there and lie about obvious things. No, wind is not wind farms are not a national security issue. They're not killing whales. They're not causing cancer. And we wouldn't even have to have this discussion if our president had an IQ above 11. But he's so goddamn dumb that somebody, I don't know who, convinced him during the campaign that windmills caused cancer and killed whales. And you guys are so afraid to admit that he's a dipshit that you just let him do it. You're like, yeah, fuck it. We'll ignore it. It's fine. We'll pretend that's a real thing. We'll pretend that, and like once he's gone, you're all like, yeah, I never really believed that. I am the idiot. Yeah, you're right. Do you have any evidence that windmill causes cancer, Kevin? Why do you guys get so upset if I criticize Trump? Don't talk about our Lord and Savior like that. Well, I hate it when you say mean things. It makes me so mad. How is your party against wind turbines? How the fuck did you become the party that's anti-wind turbine and anti-renewable energy? If that's not perfect evidence that none of you think for yourselves, I don't know what is. Every other country in the world's like, yeah, we need renewable energy. It makes sense. It's cheaper. Our people want to pay less for their energy. In America, we're like, yeah, I love how expensive our energy is because renewable energy is gay, dude. I am a disgrace. I know. I hear you. But like being called a disgrace for saying that wind doesn't cause cancer or kill whales doesn't have the impact that you think it does. Like, you know what I mean? I'm saying things that are obviously true, and you're getting upset and calling me a disgrace. And you're only doing that because, like, this fucking idiot right here with the red tie that covers his tiny penis told you that windmills cause cancer and kill whales. And you're dumb enough that you just believed it, and it makes you mad when people offer counterpoints.
Be undetectable until it came through because the radar interference. And then we know that there's autonomous undersea activity going on. Now that's happening in the Gulf with advances in technology on all sides.
And now it's under the sea. What we got under the sea wind turbines now too. What's going on under the sea? Under the sea. What the fuck? This is a real press conference. These people are leading our government. I don't think the wind blows under the sea, pal. Wind deserves to be free, not to be told what to do. By big windmill, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, we didn't think about the autonomy of wind. Good Lord, this is dumb. I can't believe this is what we have to cover. He's the dumbest person ever to occupy this office by miles. And this should be like unanimous. This is crazy. It really, like, legitimately, we're doing Don't Look Up. We got the most the most lucrative company now, or I guess the most valuable company now in our country is a company that is worth trillions of dollars because they said they're going to mine asteroids without having the technology to do that. And Americans are like, fuck yeah, dude, let's invest. Let's do it. We are cooked.
The sonar, the vibration of running the wind towers affects the undersea sonar. So it's a huge national security threat, bad for marine mammals, bad for fish. President Trump is going to keep fighting for what's right for this country.
Could you stop the waves?
Are oil spills bad for marine animals? What about oil rigs? Are those good for marine animals and fish? Are you guys the protector of the fish now? Remember that the BP oil spill? How was that for fish? It is crazy. Look at that fucking stroke face right there. That's a tough face. At least he's awake. Good to see him awake once in a while. All right. Boy, all right. I'm going to get into this. Okay. I'm going to do this Monday. How much time do I have? Now we're going to do it today. We're going to talk about the ES&S systems. If you don't know about ES&S systems, this is Election Truth Alliance. Once again, we talked about some of the. I went and I looked at the Kentucky primaries with Thomas Massey. That's a weird fucking election where it looks like both Republicans might have cheated. Like potentially Thomas Massey and his opponent could have cheated. It's very confusing. I couldn't draw a very clear conclusion for that. I planned on covering it, but you can go read it yourself and you can figure it out. There was a 400% increase in people who voted, but like nobody showed. I don't even remember the guy's name that beat Thomas Massey. That's how unremarkable he is. There was like 12 people at his victory party. There was nobody was at, like, he only had something like 119 individual donations. Yeah, the Israel plant, but then like millions of dollars brought in by AIPAC. Very confusing. But as we go through the California process, as Donald Trump loses his mind every single day, and Republicans are back on their bullshit about election fraud, I thought I would do. I thought I'd issue an olive branch here, and what we'll talk about is the way that you actually could steal an election. If we want to think that our elections could be hacked, which I believe they can, we need an explanation of how that can happen. And then once we have that explanation of how it can happen, then we can go and we can look at the outcomes of these elections, and we can look at the vote counts of these elections, and we can decide, are there irregularities here? And were there irregularities on the side of the Democrats? Were there irregularities on the side of the Republicans? Or was it both? I think that would be the most sensible way to do an audit, which is why our country won't do it that way. We'll have Republicans audit and then Democrats audit, and they'll both just tell each other they're cheating. But this has been out for a while, since not that long, since May 27th. Election systems and software, which we're going to just say ES&S now, controls 60% of U.S. voting infrastructure across 40 states, according to their own statements. The EVS Express Vote software, certified for use in at least 9 states during the 2024 election, contains undisclosed security deficiencies identified in Texas from 2020 and 2021 that would allow USB devices with mismatched software to bypass detection and inject malware. That's not good. That's not good, right? We know that the infrastructure is used in 60% of our voting infrastructure across 40 states, and the software that was certified to use in 9 states also has security deficiencies. Now, let's think back to the Biden administration or the Biden campaign. Do you guys remember? You can help me out. What were the quotes that Biden was saying about like how his campaign knew the computers really well and the systems? Anybody know? I can't remember. What was the exact quote from the Biden administration about? There was some guy on their campaign that knew the computers. They kept talking about like, oh man, he knows the computers. He knew the systems. Was there not one there? Oh, was that okay? So there wasn't one for the Democrats. Okay, was there one for the Republicans? It was Elon, right? Trump kept saying Elon knew the systems. He knew the machines. Okay, so let's just remember that. We got quotes from, no quote from the Democrats, but a quote from the Republicans saying that they knew something about these machines. We shouldn't have to know, you shouldn't have to know anything about the machines to win an election though, right? Like you should just be able to like count the votes. If the machines count the votes, you don't need to know anything about the machines, right? You just count the vote. Can you guys think of anything, any of the MAGA folks here? Is there a reason why it would be important that Elon knew these machines inside and out? You think of any? What about Elon's baby mama? She talked about lasers from space about the election. That's right. Yeah, and she didn't make. She read those were direct texts from him about using space lasers to keep it safe. How would liberal annihilator? How would an unelected person like Elon Musk get access to these machines to keep them safe? What did he do? Just kidding. Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. So it sounds like, okay. So far, just the Republicans. Approximately 14,000 to 33,000 voting machines with cellular modems and 35 back-end election systems connected to the internet have been identified in use across 11 states. ES&S confirmed remote access software on election systems in at least 300 jurisdictions in 2020, while the regional results software module in EVS 6.3 identified in Texas software transmits election data via WAN or VPN access. These findings and capabilities contradict official statements that voting systems are disconnected from the internet and protected from outside interference. Now, both the Republicans and the Democrats have said this, that voting systems are disconnected from the internet and they're protected from outside interference. What we found out in this Texas security check is that wasn't true, and now we're saying between 14 and 33,000 of those voting machines basically could be hacked through a backend, but you would need some sort of USB connection that would allow you then to connect to an internet provider. Now, this would be a scary thing to do. If you were going to cheat by changing votes and you were going to use an internet connection, you'd be nervous about that, right? Because that internet traffic can be tracked by the internet provider. But what if the person connecting these to an internet through a USB device owned their own internet company? Be a little safer, right? They do. My ex-girlfriend's uncle's job was scaring away birds from wind farm in southern Utah. It is required because they can potentially get fined every time a windmill kills eagles. Yeah, no, for sure they can kill eagles. We just got people in here. Pass the SAVE Act. All right. There's two major pathways that exist that you could use to compromise voting systems and alter vote counts without detection in past and present election infrastructure. Remote attacks could target any of the identified 14,000 to 33,000 internet-connected tabulators with cellular modems, exploit remote access software installed across 300-plus jurisdictions, and compromise the documented 35 back-end election management systems connected to the internet across 11 states. Supply chain attacks could inject malware through USB devices via supply chain compromise or compromised election management systems, exploiting known software vulnerabilities in ES&S systems deployed across 40 states. So Elon, the computer genius, because he's a computer genius, remember, and he knows these systems, he would have known about these vulnerabilities in 2020, or at least they existed by then. He certainly could have been told about them. And if Elon knows these machines so well, which he's not supposed to have access to, what was Trump talking about? What was Trump? Elon shouldn't have access to any of the machines. So, do you guys want to explain what Trump was talking about? We're not talking about the SAVE Act. Mods, feel free to mute anybody talking about the SAVE Act. We're not doing this shit today. We're not going to argue about voter ID. We can do that a different day. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about machines, and we'll cut the audience way down if we have to. We're not doing SAVE Act shit. So, MAGA, this is your warning. We're not talking about that shit today. I need you guys to stay with me here. I want to have a conversation with you. We're going to really dumb this down. And I keep asking you guys the same question. I'd love to get an answer to that. Why is Donald Trump consistently talking about Elon's access to machines? Can you explain that? Where would he get access to these machines? All right, Bob, you can bounce too. Do you guys have anything? Any explanation there? Okay. Let's keep going here. Public statements by prominent figures have recently brought renewed attention to election infrastructure security. These statements include references to satellite technology with respect to voting system knowledge and real-time data access during the 2024 election period. While such statements alone do not constitute evidence of security breaches, they highlight the importance of examining whether current safeguards adequately protect elections against technically sophisticated threats such as remote exploits or more physical compromises that rely on supply chain attacks. Do you guys remember what was that crazy lady in Colorado's name that got arrested, just got her sentence commuted? Tina Peters. Do you remember what she did? She gave somebody access to voting machines that shouldn't have had access. Why would she be doing that? So the people that got in trouble were giving outside people access to voting machines. What for? And again, going back to Elon, why did Elon need to know those machines? This is why they want to talk to you about the SAVE Act. This is why they want to talk to you about 2,000 mules. So you miss the obvious, that our elections can be hacked, and we could recreate it. And they're going to recreate it kind of here. So the 14,000, 33,000 ES&S scanners found online, even though use of cellular transmitting of elections results is not certified by Election Assistance Commission. So we know that they connected to the internet, even though they're not supposed to. 35 back-end election management systems connected online across 11 states. We know that happened, but they said it didn't. ES&S even acknowledged the existence of remote access software installed on their election systems in at least 300 jurisdictions. A report by Brian Meckler, a technical examiner for Texas, confirms that the EVS 6.3.0.0 system, a system certified across 9 states, includes a software regional results module that allows transmission of results over data over a virtual private network. Conclusion, while some states have documented policies prohibiting cellular modems in voting equipment, it is confirmed that, again, the 14,000 to 33,000 DS200 precinct tabulators with active cellular modems were in use, and that this transmission capability was never certified by the EAC. Separately, 35 back-end election management systems, the software used to program voting machines and consolidate voting results, were found connected to the internet across 11 states, representing a distinct and more consequential attack surface than precinct-level connectivity alone. The addition of a regional results software module capability for common election systems brings up further concerns of exposure through internet-wide area network connection if such is being utilized to transmit data. Do you think Elon, like this is, I've had to look up most of these words. Do you think Elon knew this stuff? If the machines are not rigged, then nobody should care if they get checked for fraud. It's a good point. a good point. Have you ever wondered why Trump wasn't checking them for fraud? How come Trump keeps suing for ballots, but not for these machines? How come in Arizona, when Republicans got access to audit the election, they didn't find it, and they got access to these machines? How come they weren't able to find anybody that hacked these systems? I saw that channel. Yeah, Wild Bill, somebody sent that to me. Let me show. Yeah, this is actually crazy. This was that last. I didn't know that was last night. Is it Channel 3? That the Arizona scanner. Somebody sent me this morning. So Justin Heaps, who is I think he's the county recorder. Is that his job? These are employees from Justin Heaps, the county. Where did that go? What's going on here? Here's them wheeling out a machine. After this ad, while that ad plays, just remind you, our crowdfunded, anything you can do to help us knock out the gift going would be greatly appreciated. Colin, thank you for the super chat. Illusion said Russia will attack wind turbines with nuclear dolphins. Forgot about the nuclear dolphins. Amy Lynn said China's going to kick our ass as they are jumping head first into renewable energy. Trudy says happy Friday. Thank you. And big W, Trudy, for the $100 sent over on Venmo. Stacy said Jen doesn't hurt us. Natalie, thank you very much as well. And could you guys hear me when I was talking, or was it muted? I couldn't hear myself. Keisha, thanks for sending in your Antifa dues. I appreciate that. All right, so here's the video. It was just loud. Sorry about that. Go forward. This is them. There's also, I need to get more details on this, but there's a lawsuit currently with Justin Heap, where the people that oversee the elections, he hired like an outside firm instead of using the government, and it's like a MAGA firm, and I think he won in court. I think the Maricopa County sued because they said he couldn't choose an outside firm, and I think the court decided that it was within his within his rights to choose an outside firm because of his role. I don't remember who it is. Like, I can look it up while this is playing here real quick. Get the whole story. Okay, so Justin Heap said the county attorney and election staff working for the Board of Supervisors are stopping his office from taking control of equipment that rightfully belongs to the recorder's office. But county budget document. Okay, so that's what this is about then. In an emergency court filing, the recorder's attorney claimed that Pinal County Sheriff deputies showed up at a staff member's house over the weekend. In a statement, Supervisor Kate Brophy McGee and Debbie Lesko said security camera footage captured during a local Tempe election in March showed Colby and another employee wheeling a scanner out of the county's central processing facility into an unmarked vehicle. The individuals returned to MC Tech with the scanner approximately 50 minutes later, after the county elections director had alerted MRCO leadership to the incident. They said it is unknown what transpired with the scanner during this period, other than it was taken to MCRO offices. The board spent $70,000 to replace the scanner, which it said was compromised. An investigation by the county's Human Resources Department revealed Colby also removed what appeared to be a handful of provisional ballot affidavit envelopes from a secure area of MC Tech. This is good timing. That's him doing it right there. So they went in, they got the machine, then he is able to take these secure ballots. The investigation could not determine what, if anything, the CIO did with these materials, but a count the following day determined all ballots and envelopes had been accounted for. Following the HR investigation, county leadership informed the recorder's office of its findings and asked Mitchell for legal advice. In a statement, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office only confirmed an allegation was made. MCAO is not involved in the investigation, has no further comment. So Heap is arguing that the scanners in questions belong to his office, claiming they were purchased with funds belonging solely to the recorder's office. He argues that the machines were acquired specifically for early voting services, a function under the sole authority of the recorder. Okay, so this is the lawsuit. I misunderstood what the lawsuit was about. Contrary to the premise of the investigation, what Mr. Colby is apparently accused of doing would have been entirely lawful, attempting to retrieve equipment belonging to the recorder's office so it could be used to process ballots in the upcoming 2026 primary election. However, the supervisors say the scanner belongs to the elections department, which is controlled by the Board of Supervisors. And Maricopa's 2023 budget shows the county allocated $116,000 from the election department for the elections envelope scanner. So yeah, it looks like it does belong to the election department. Interesting. I don't know why you would take the ballots. I can only guess based on my limited knowledge. My limited knowledge tells me that they're practicing. When you remember when we showed the video of how they manipulated the results and they all had ballots and they all put their ballots in one at a time and the vote was supposed to be 6-2 and it came out 1-7 in the exact opposite way. They were able to change that, but you needed real ballots. In order to test this, I think you would need real ballots. That would be my guess if we're going to be conspiratorial there. I don't know. There was no problem with Americans' elections until the lying imperial wizard of the Republican Klan Party. There were holes in the election, yeah, for sure. And if somebody was going to exploit that, it was going to be probably somebody with access to their own internet provider and with a really good understanding of software. I know that we've really had that before. All right. Moving back to the article. Let me get this. Tanya said, have a great weekend. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Colin, as well. I think I got those. Okay. We got there. So malware, vector, and media device. This is where it gets interesting. So this is the Texas incident they're talking about. So approximately 40 days before the 2020 general election. So MAGA, olive branch here. Now we're going to talk about 2020 to see if maybe this is what the Democrats did. Yeah, Justin Heap is deeply MAGA. Approximately 40 days before the 2020 general election, the Election Assistance Commission quietly opened an investigation into ES&S voting system issues in the Texas Who, What, Why 2021. This investigation found that USB devices with software that did not match certified software could have left voting systems in up to 19 states vulnerable to the installation of malicious or otherwise unapproved software. Now, this is a 2020 report. Do we think that, let's just continue down the conspiracy rabbit hole. Do you think that Elon Musk didn't have access to this? You think that Elon Musk and his buddies could be like, wait, hold on. Was there was a problem? They might have even brought Elon and his buddies in to be like, hey, can you figure out if the election was stolen from us in 2020? They weren't able to find any evidence that the election was stolen, but what they did find is that it maybe could have been. There were 19 states that were vulnerable to the installation of malicious or otherwise unapproved software. Documents also suggest that ES&S may have initially misled election officials about the scale and scope of this issue. Texas Examiner Brian Meckler discovered that ES&S's own hash verification process, the primary mechanism for confirming software integrity on voting systems, contained a critical bug within both those software systems. I'm not going to read the whole thing. When the trusted reference hash file was missing entirely, the script still reported a successful match, leaving the system vulnerable to an insider threat where a knowledgeable bad actor could exploit the failure. The accusation from Elon is this, or that people have levied at Elon or whoever they think hacked the 2024 election, was this: that when you go back through and you do a software integrity scan, that there was a hash file that was missing, but that was supposed to trigger an alert saying that this was not a successful match, and it failed. So if they didn't fix this problem before the 2024 election, if this vulnerability still existed, it's you could very well assume that Elon or whoever's in charge would know this. And if they figured out a way to access these machines and get a USB drive inserted into these machines, they could change votes. Not even all of them. You don't even need them everywhere. But we know that once you bypass this glitch, you could change votes, because they showed, we can go back to that video another time. We're not going to have time today, but they showed you how they could change the votes, right? ESNS's own customer guidance trained jurisdictions to ignore hash mismatches, causing Texas election officials to raise concerns that if there was a mismatch and customers are being told to ignore it, there's nothing to be flagged. Now, is ESNS owned by right-wing operatives? Yes. Is it strange that they were telling election officials to ignore it? Probably. That's according to Brian Meckler's email written to Tom Watson September 3rd and 4th. There are confirmed core software vulnerabilities. In 2023, New York State's testing laboratory, NYS Tech, examined both software or ESNS EVS 6.3.0.1 with a subcontractor, Cyber Castellum, to verify the code review performed by SLI Compliance. That's one of two organizations authorized to certify voting systems in the United States. That verification identified only 430 software vulnerabilities. Just 430, no big deal. SLI classified the exploit potential of these 430 vulnerabilities as requiring extensive knowledge of the system or a vendor insider, and the software remained certified for use with no further patches or actions needed. They said, well, only an insider who understood these systems and these machines very well would be able to would be able to exploit these vulnerabilities. So we're not going to do anything. Now let's go back to Donald Trump repeatedly saying Elon understands those machines so well. He knew those machines inside and out. And here's SLI saying you would have to know these machines inside and out in order to exploit these vulnerabilities. Could you give me a better explanation for why Donald Trump said that than what we're seeing here? Are you saying, yeah, he betrayed them when he ordered his brother to go after them? Got them. What are you talking about? I don't know who you're talking about. All right. The vulnerabilities were identified as memory modification, changes to the memory stored in the machines, privilege escalation, which is changes to who has privileges to alter the software. Like, how would you, let's talk about this. You can it changes the memory stored in the machines. If you can get access, you know how this works. You can change the memory. What is the memory in these machines? The memory in these machines are the votes. So you can change that. You can change who has privileges to alter the software. You can audit log removal. You can delete the records of the machine audits. You can go in and you can erase your work. Vote manipulation and storage alteration. Individual votes being added, switched, or removed. And that's the accusation. The accusation is, and when you go back and you look at like these fake counties that they put in there, the accusation is that they put those fake counties in there so the votes showed up. So as they manipulated and moved votes around, it wouldn't be so obvious. This is far more likely than anything 2000 Mules put out. I've seen it. Watch a series on the California voter fraud ring, paying people to register and then paying them to vote. That's what Elon did too. That's not worse than this, Dark Passenger. That's illegal, but that's not changing votes. Right? That's still people who were probably eligible to vote, and you're not supposed to be allowed to pay them to vote or to register. Elon did that, of course. Are you going to admit that? While we're on the same page, we know Elon did that same thing. Actually, nobody did say that couldn't happen, Kenneth. The election fraud claims from 2020 are not this. Your claims were ballot harvesting and like hordes of people who were dead or here illegally voting, and you don't have evidence of that. This makes a lot more sense. And there's a lot of really interesting data when you look at this, when you look at the way that that votes came in and the way that Trump was able to do well in swing states. They looked identical through all swing states after you had like 60% voter turnout. You can actually watch, there's videos, you can watch them do this. You can watch them change votes. This exists and it's possible. And that's why I said it's okay. Like if we want to question 2020, let's question 2020. Let's also question 2024. What they found out in this investigation that took place in 2020 and 2021 is that there were vulnerabilities. But the Republicans never looked at these vulnerabilities and tried to prove that the election was stolen from them using this process. You could go back and look at it. You can go back and look at this data now if you want, but nobody's done that. And I can only assume that the reason nobody has done that, or at least made the claim, is because they don't have any evidence of it. But there's starting to be like really, really compelling evidence that somebody was fucking with the votes in 2024. I'm a security engineer. That's how you do it, and do it discreetly. Cool. Page 2, section 21. Several issues were found. This is from their report during the review process, or the review of the source code. However, it remains that the risk associated with these issues is being mitigated through controls. Okay, great. So it can't be hacked because there's controls. And the controls are present on the devices where the code is installed. As a best practice in software development, code should not rely on external environmental controls for security. Therefore, NYS Tech recommends that ES&S remediate these issues in their code, along with the list of issues they agreed to address in a future build. Okay? Critical finding. Let's see, what does it say? Current research into software version documents have not confirmed any remedy of these vulnerabilities in current or future software versions. Okay, so it sounds like they haven't fixed it yet. Version 6.3.0.0 of the EVS software has been certified for use in over 9 states, Texas, Ohio, Pennsylvania. The NIST Tech report never specifies what changed between 6.3 and 6.3.0.1, and the changes are not immediately public. It is assumed that the changes were minimal from the core version, and vulnerabilities may still be persistent across versions. So we don't even know if they fixed it yet. There's no patch fix that they've told us about. I don't know why they wouldn't put that out there. I don't think is there any reason, who was it that was a software engineer? Is there any reason that if they put out a patch that it wouldn't be announced publicly? And wouldn't we know that because they would have to send out a new version? And in that version, like it would explain, like you would see in the coding what the patch fix was. Is there any way that you could patch this and hide it? Fix a hash integrity check in a future version. Who's building? Yeah. Where's the nerds at? You would know, right? If there was a patch fix, it would show up in the code. Is that right, Zabrax? Okay, that's correct. Okay. How the vulnerability persisted. Prior USB vulnerability, the Election Assistance Commission investigated ES&S's uncertified USB stick installation method in both softwares and EVS 6.0.2.0, which potentially left voting systems vulnerable to malicious software. About 40 days before the 2020 election, this is your election, guys. This is where we're going to look for your election conspiracies now. Now we're doing MAGA. Here we go. The investigation is expanded across 19 states, but findings were never reported publicly until after the election. EA&C provided technical instructions for verifying USB installations in response to this issue, but the EAC did not require states to follow them or set clear guidelines for implementation. They just said, hey, if you're gonna do USB installations, here's how you do it. No guidelines, no implementation process. ES&S provided guidance to customers instructing them that if there is a discrepancy in a hash, they should ignore hash mismatches, effectively undermining the verification process. As examiner Brian Meckler noted, if customers are being told to ignore it, there's nothing to be flagged. In May of 2023, Texas examiners later discovered they certified EVS 6.3.0.0 without receiving complete hash validation documentation from ES&S. Critical security procedure, and that's what we just looked at, right? They said like, oh, we're going to do it, and then they didn't. Critical security procedures were never provided to examiners or the Secretary of State's office. In January of 2024, when questioned about missing documentation, ES&S submitted ECO-1167, but labeled changes as Texas-specific to prevent other states using the system from discovering the vulnerabilities mentioned in the engineering change order. Why? All right, nerds. Why would you? Is there any explanation for why you would make these changes? You would label them Texas specific. Is there any reason you wouldn't fix these vulnerabilities in all 19 states? Zap says, wow, ignore hashes, RTP. That's how you get home rolled packages or RPMs. It's the easiest way to spoof the package. 6-7. Thank you, Grant Woolley. Thank you. That made me laugh. I don't know why I thought that was so funny. I'm a child. Is there any reason, Zap brags, that you would only change Texas? Basically make your own package that looks like the real package. Okay. Texas, is that where I was? Yeah. Texas examiners and Election Assistance Commission representatives conducted a full examination and discovered of EFS 6.3.0.0 that the verification software used is plain text and could be rewritten by bad actors. That sounds fucking bad. It's plain text. It could be rewritten by bad actors. I've seen Elon Musk act on Saturday Night Live. He is a bad actor. I might have missed it. Is this hashes on vote data or code? I think Zap is talking about code binaries. I think it's code. I don't think it's the vote data. I think it's the code running the check, right? Not if you're rolling software is scaled. These things are all certified. Yes, code. Okay, gotcha. See, I'm guessing. I'm learning this stuff slowly. But I'm glad that there's some experts here. Thank you. So it could be rewritten by bad actors. The system can self-verify, allowing malware to generate false passing scores. So think about this. Let's just say that, let's be conspiratorial again. Let's just say that Elon knew about this backdoor. He rewrote the code because he can. And then the system can self-verify without passing the checks, which allows the malware to generate false passing scores. So the people who have been trained, who are volunteers, by the way, the people running these elections are mostly volunteers. They have been trained a certain way. And we know going up that they have been trained to ignore these things because it's normal. So even if it was flagged, which it sounds like it doesn't have to flag, the people would never know. They would have no idea that any of this stuff changed. And when you couple this with the fact that built into this software, somehow we were getting election results from counties that don't exist in swing states, and that those votes never disappeared. The county disappeared. So that means at some point, written into this software, there were names of counties that don't exist. And then in the middle of the election, the county names disappeared. And they're no longer in there, but the votes from those counties are still there. They've just been redistributed. Like the total amount of votes is correct with those fake counties, but nobody can figure out where these votes from the fake counties got distributed. How would you do that? Well, maybe if you had a bad actor who could rewrite code, and maybe if you had a self-verifying system that allows passing scores to be generated. And perhaps it says 5 files are exempt from verification mismatch, creating blind spots. So if you know the blind spots, you can rewrite the code, and you can generate false passing scores. Then you could rig an election, right? I guess the question is, aren't there machines that could look into it after the fact for the bad binary? Well, I think that's the problem here is as we went up and nerds help me out again here, but earlier we read that one of the problems here is that you could go back in and you could delete your logs. So they could wipe this. It sounds like a bad actor that can rewrite the code can go back through and edit the logs. Zap, if he could, if Elon did this and he could go back and edit the logs, could he write out all that shit, like every move he made? That's what that means, right? Zap says training staff to ignore the hash file is the last link that had to happen. I mean, good Lord, why in the world would we? I don't know how this isn't a bigger story, but how the fuck do we have the people administering our elections saying, ignore it? Like we have safety protocols, but just ignore them. Yeah, he could create a job to clean up after itself. I do that for good though. Okay, cool. No security fixes were implemented. This is as of April 9th, 2024. So this is pre-election. ES&S removed Texas-specific language from ECO 1167, but implemented no significant security improvements. So they just took out the Texas-specific language, but then they didn't fix it. Only documentation was updated, but not the underlying vulnerable code. So they have the documentation saying that the shit doesn't work, but then they didn't fix the code. Great. May 13th, lead examiner Brandon Hurley explicitly warned that the plain text verification script must be converted to binary or obfuscate the code to prevent tampering. He noted this is changing plain text verification script. Is that like English language? I need coders here. Can we walk through that? Is plain text verification script English language, and saying that you need to convert it to binary? We're talking about the ones and zeros. Is that what they're changing here? I think that's what it is, but I want to make sure that I'm not telling you guys shit that's right. Okay, thank you. Okay. And you do that to prevent tampering. He noted the validation process needs improvement in these areas. These critical recommendations were never required or enforced. Version 6.3.0.0 was confirmed to be in use within Pennsylvania's Allegheny and Cambria counties during the 2024 election. These counties are highlighted in the Election Truth Alliance lawsuit that flags abnormal voting behavior across Pennsylvania and documented system and procedure failures in Cambria County during the 2024 election. Is this the right one? Let's see. That's not going to show the data. We've covered that, though. You can go to Election Truth Alliance and you can see the report from Allegheny and Cambria County. Conclusion, if 430 code vulnerabilities exist in minimally modified EVS 6.3.0 software, then the same vulnerabilities may exist in the core version, which has been certified for use across at least 9 states and is confirmed as used during the 2024 election. Colin, thank you for the super chats. Multiple super chats. I appreciate that. Make sure I got these. We're running out of time. Oh, Jen's going to beat some people. Han said, all this election interference would be put to bed if we all voted by phone. We all need facial recognition to open our phones. Elderly without phones can vote in person. Yes. Super simple. All right, I'm way off on the gift goal. I'm not going to get beat up too bad. We're good. Boom. All right. The certifying lab's own classifications confirms these vulnerabilities are exploitable by anyone with insider access or extensive system knowledge. Elon knew those computers ins and out. He knew those machines. He said to Mike Johnson, we have a little secret. We'll tell you about it later. They never did tell you about the secret. I'm not sure what it is. This seems like it could have been the secret. Could have been exploitable by anyone with insider access or extensive system knowledge, enabling modification of vote counts, memory, audit logs, and system privileges. That would have sounded, what is that? Try what the actual fuck? He didn't win. He never got shot. That was a crazy thing to say in 2024, but boy, that's aging well. Thank you, Zap. Appreciate your expertise and then the super chat. Software hashing failures identified in Texas for EVS 6.3 and 0.0.0 and earlier versions would allow exploitation of any source code vulnerabilities through USB or media devices with malware present. If the core software for EVS 6.3.x.x version has exploitable vulnerabilities and failures in identifying software changes, this could allow current and future exploitation by domestic or foreign actors with sufficient resources and access. Who would have sufficient resources and access? This is the most impactful vector for exploiting the identified software vulnerabilities the most impactful vector for exploiting the identified software vulnerabilities would be a supply chain attack with in-state voting infrastructure, allowing a compromise of media devices that are used to interact with voting systems, as displayed in Texas 2020 with mismatching USB device software. So we can hack the elections, and it seems like Trump has admitted that they hacked the elections. Can we do the Elon machines? Let's see. Let's see if we can find another explanation. Maybe they'll give us some more kernels here. If I could spell election, we pull up better results. Let's see. Twitter's search is terrible, by the way. Where is it? I'm playing an ad.
I'm a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Marine Corps.
God. Some of you guys have YouTube without ads? I don't know how. I've been spoiled by doing YouTube Premium. I can't sit through an ad anymore. It's destroyed me.
I'm a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States
Did it
Marine
skip
Corps.
the video? No way.
I'm a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Marine Corps.
And now I'm
I'm going back to Twitter. What is going on? Here it is.
Where he spent, and then he journeyed to Pennsylvania, where he spent like a month and a half campaigning for me in Pennsylvania. And he's a popular guy, and he was very effective. And he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide, so it was pretty good.
What else is he talking about then? Dolphin said, scaffolding is up to Trump's name at the Kennedy Center on PBS. I believe we could all use a smile. Oh, take it down. You hate to see it. You hate to see Donald Trump. He deserves all the credit in the world for the Kennedy Center. That was all him. Denise said, just lock all them fuckers up. Every last one of them. All right, we'll finish up here soon. We've got about $100 left in that gift goal. If anybody wants to help knock that out, it'd be greatly appreciated. We'll get through the rest of this report, and then I got to get out of here. What's this? Oh yeah, this is the kind of the conclusion that the certifications are just security theater. Federal and state officials have consistently cited EA certification and machine testing as the primary safeguard confirming that voting systems are secure, accurate, and free from tampering before deployment. The reality is the certification framework that voters and officials rely upon has multiple structural gaps and is not updated to deal with today's growing cyber threats. In addition, the logic and accuracy testing counties conduct are not designed to defeat advanced cybersecurity attacks. I don't even know. These don't even sound that advanced. You know how I know they're not that advanced? Is because I can understand it. Like I can read through it and I figured it out. That's how I know it's not that advanced. I think they're saying that it's advanced. They're like, only somebody with access and a ton of knowledge could do this. It sounds like anybody in here could have probably done this if they had the access. Any of our coders here. The EVS 6.3.0.0 and the ES&S voting system certified across 9 states and used in the 2024 election was tested and certified against the voluntary voting system guidelines adopted in 2005. Nothing's changed since then. VVSG 1.0 does not require air-gapped systems, does not prohibit wireless connections, does not require multi-factor authentication, does not mandate supply chain risk management, does not require adversarial security testing. The systems counting votes in 2024 were certified to a standard that the federal government itself acknowledged was obsolete. And the first ES&S system submitted for testing under the updated standard was not submitted until December of 2025 after the election. VVSG 2.0 was adopted in 2021 with updated cybersecurity requirements, but allows wireless hardware to remain in the voting system so long as it is disabled. As of the 2024 election, no voting system has been certified to the new standard. So there is a new standard. Nothing's been certified to that standard. And it sounds like, help me with this too, that wireless hardware can remain in the voting system so long as it is disabled. But if you can, Zap, if you can help me on this, if you enable the wireless hardware, but you have access to the logs, couldn't you just enable the hardware and then go back and edit the logs? Logging into my work email has like 7 more steps than that. Yeah, fuck the SAVE Act. How about we fix our voting machines? How about that? This seems to be a much bigger problem than voter ID. Which, by the way, the SAVE Act isn't voter ID. I should probably clear that up. It's just voter suppression. Thank you, Robin, for $5 over on Cash App. I appreciate you. If you get physical access, you can do anything. Yeah, okay. You're right. So saying that having wireless hardware being disabled wouldn't change anything if they had access. Also, Loco said, for rain on Sunday, thank you very much for the $100. W, also Loco, for the super chat. I appreciate that. And rain on Sunday is, that's for the UFC fight. I hope it gets rained out, or it's just a nightmare. They just slip around and nobody can win a fight because they're just slipping and sliding on a wet canvas. Rooms, yeah, all I got to help. Thank you for all you do. I appreciate that, Rooms. Thank you for the donation. All right. Only 2 private labs certify all of these systems. So there's 2 labs here: SLI Compliance in Colorado, Pro V&V in Alabama, and they are both owned by Republicans, by the way. These are the only EAC accredited voting system test laboratories in the country. No other organizations are authorized to certify voting systems for federal use. This creates a single point of failure in the certification pipeline. If either lab's testing methodology is inadequate and they classify vulnerabilities as acceptable, there's no independent check. So the 430 vulnerabilities found in ES&S EVS 6.3.0.1 were reviewed, and then SLI Compliance classified them as acceptable. Is that just corruption? Fuck it. This report is legitimately saying the elections can be stolen if somebody does exactly what we think Elon did. Once a system is it gets worse. Once the system is certified, decertification requires a formal vote of EAC commissioners and can only occur when a system no longer complies with established standards. There is no mechanism for automatic decertification when post-certification security vulnerabilities are discovered. So all this stuff that they've done, all these vulnerabilities, doesn't mean a goddamn thing if there isn't a formal vote from the EAC commissioners. I'm going to look into who the EAC commissioners are on Monday. This means counties may be running versions as old as EVS 5.2.0, certified in 2015 on 11-year-old security standards, alongside counties running the newer versions. Voting systems are tested prior to use in U.S. elections. For example, in Kentucky, an accuracy board established by each county oversees LAT of voting systems prior to elections. These tests are not sufficient to catch malware. Oh, good. What the testing does and doesn't do. Here's what it does. It confirms the machine correctly reads and counts ballots marked during the test only. It confirms the machine rejects overvotes. It confirms vote totals match a predetermined expected result. It confirms the firmware version is on the certified list, and it confirms it creates a paper trail of serial numbers and seal numbers. What it doesn't do is verify that the software installed on the machine is cryptographically identical to the EAC certified version, meaning a spoofed version may not be picked up, because it doesn't do that. Key vulnerabilities in self-check software, as mentioned above. It does not detect malware installed on the machine prior to testing. Why would you want that? Why would you want to be able to check for malware? And it doesn't test the machine against cybersecurity attacks during the voting. That's great. That's so good. The Kentucky accuracy test is a functional accuracy test that confirms the machine counts correctly when given known ballots. It's not a security audit. A machine with malware installed that is programmed to count accurately during testing but behave differently during an actual election would pass this test without triggering any failure. Now, for any non-nerds like myself, this parallel actually is what made it so that I could understand all of this. If you didn't understand it, I'll read this parallel to you, and then this link will be in the Discord. You can read it. If you go back and read it, it might help. But in 2015, Volkswagen, they had an emissions scandal. And it demonstrated how the audit procedures can be defeated when software detects testing conditions. The software within Volkswagen vehicles was defeating emission tests while outputting 40 times the legal limit of emissions while in use outside of testing environment. You know, you go in and get your emission tests. Volkswagen had written into the software that when you were being tested, it would change the emission output. But Volkswagen designed software that detected when vehicles were being emission tested. During the testing, they operated in low emissions mode and passed all audits. During normal operation, the output went up 40 times the legal limit. It was only discovered through independent testing under real-world conditions due to mismatching emissions data. The parallel here is that similarly designed software or advanced malware could potentially count accurately during the pre-election testing, execute only during actual vote counting after a threshold of counted votes is exceeded. Now, this is what we see. If you look at Pennsylvania, and this is the smoking gun. I don't know if Danielle's here. I've been waiting for a smoking gun, and here it is. In this parallel, the malware that's installed seems to kick on after a 60% threshold of the counted votes. So it looks like regular voting up until 60% of the votes are in, and then it changes. So the parallel here could allow the altering of stored counted votes during a timed window, such as election day. Do you ever wonder why Republicans are screaming about we have to have this done on election day? You ever wonder why that's like in California? They keep freaking out about why isn't this done on election day? They don't have evidence of any fraud, and every time they're asked for evidence of fraud, they don't have it. But I've been wondering why they're so goddamn focused on having it done on election day. That's probably why. Modify all logs and it would allow you to modify all logs and outputs from the system, including digital ballot images. You can change the images. Is that? Whoa! I missed that the first time around. And then it would return to normal operation during post-election audits. So just like the Volkswagens, once it's audited, it changes back and it's like, oh, yep, everything's good. There's no problems here. Conclusion, the certification and testing framework presented to the public as confirmation that voting systems are secure is governed by a 21-year-old standard that does not require air-gapped systems, prohibit wireless connections, or take into account complex targeting of election infrastructure such as supply chain attacks. Current pre-election logic and accuracy testing may not be sufficient to detect malware, verify installed software, and cannot defeat malware designed to count accurately during testing while behaving differently during a live election. The entire U.S. voting system certification pipeline relies on two private companies, SLI Compliance and ProVNV, who are hired and paid directly by the vendors whose systems they certify. So it's the systems of which used to be like Dominion, which is ES&S now. They're paying for it. It's not. There doesn't seem to be any real government oversight here. So Republican-owned companies that make the machines and the software pay SLI Compliance and ProVNV to do the security or the certification, and we don't seem to have much input here. I didn't know how private our elections were. Overall, the security standards for U.S. voting systems are insufficient to combat insider threats within certification companies or election system companies, along with supply chain attacks that would allow exploitation of insecure voting software through malware. I want to end by also reminding everybody that Elon Musk consistently said that if Trump lost the election, he would wind up in jail. It seems like they think they can pull this off. Again, when you wonder, like, why are Republicans like just going to pretend that none of this shit matters that they're doing right now? That the whole, like, every poll, they're buried underwater. Why don't they seem to care? Maybe that's why they don't care. I don't know. But that's fucking depressing. Did somebody keep Alabama's name out of your mouth? I'm just happy if somebody from Alabama spelled Alabama correctly. Melissa said, my dad forgot to pay for his for his face mask. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate that. Shannon said, thank you for always keeping us informed. Thank you, Shannon. Sherry said, love your show. Jennifer, thank you for the blue heart. Jamar said, Jen's the best. Amy said, Antifa does an election vulnerability discussion. I think I got that one. Stacy said, great job. As always, have a great weekend. Thank you very much. Did I miss any, Jen?
I think we got them all.
I did it. All right, everybody. I hope that you tune in to watch the United States men's national team in the World Cup today. And if you don't, then you are not a patriot. And you obviously didn't vote for a patriot in the last election. So how dare you? But until I see you guys Monday, I'll miss you terribly. Over the weekend, I hope you go outside and touch grass. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't smoke grass or touch grass, I don't know what you're going to do. But make sure that the people around you that you love know that you love them. Make sure that you love yourself. When you pass a mirror, look into that mirror and say, God damn it, I love you. What, Jen?
We got another $50 from Lee saying love your deep dives. They give a combination of frustration and hope.
Thank you. You said that was from Lee?
Yeah.
Thank you, Lee. Diet Pepsi said incredible reporting. Yes, they did it. It was great reporting by them. Anyways, make sure you say nice things about yourself. Reach down to your bootstraps and pull up your boots and then put those boots on the street. But most importantly, be kind to yourself. Go outside, enjoy the weekend. And until I see you Monday morning, bright and early, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube and Twitch, stay cute and cool and have a great summer.